This podcast is brought to you by Omaha Steaks, and let me tell you my Omaha Steaks night last night. I went into the freezer. I was starving. But more importantly, I was like, I know I want a burger tomorrow. I went into the freezer. I pulled out 4 burgers. That's enough for the family. I put them in the fridge. They thawed. These are huge, thick, juicy Omaha steak burgers. Their hot dogs are the best hot dogs you've ever had. But the beauty is my fridge is stocked up with steaks, burgers, chicken. So I don't have to go to the store. I just pull stuff out of the freezer into the fridge, let it defrost, cook it up the next day, and the quality is through the roof. This is America's original butcher since 1917, and it is the holiday gift you didn't know you needed. The holidays are here. Achieve gifting greatness when you give the gift of perfectly aged, tender, and delicious Omaha steaks. The steak expert at Omaha have put together a special curated gift package to help take the guesswork out of gifting and make you a holiday hero. Go to omahasteaks.com and use the code BIRD at checkout to get $30 off your order. Send an assortment of mouth-watering favorites, guaranteed to impress, like the legendary Butcher's Cut Filet Mignon, and I'm telling you, those fillets are phenomenal. Air-chilled boneless chicken, and it's great to have it in your freezer all the time. But these chickens, I'm telling you, I haven't screwed up one chicken breast from them. I've got ultra juicy burgers defrosted waiting for me for lunch today, and even easy to prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. Omaha Steaks is ready to ship your order right away. So shop early and beat the shipping rush. Go to omahasteaks.com and use the promo code BERT at checkout. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart that is true. My grandma, every time I open a package, I think of my grandma, who always as a treat sent me Omaha Steaks. A gift that will be remembered with every unforgettable bite, and for longer possibly. Order with complete confidence today, knowing you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com. Use the promo code BIRD at checkout to get that extra $30 off your order. Minimum order may be required. Hey guys, brand new podcast, and it's official. The Fully Loaded at Sea cruise is sold out. I am so blown away. I don't think anyone expected a pre-sale like we had. I don't think anyone expected us to sell it out in under a week. I know I didn't. I have a lineup of comedians I've yet to announce, all of which I thought would move tickets. I have music acts. I have so many surprises. I have a year's worth of promos. I thought I would be selling cruise cabins up until October, because that's when this cruise is. 356 days away, roughly. I don't know, 300. It's still a year away. So thank you. If you'd like to go on this cruise, the only opportunity you have now is to join the wait list. There will be people who fall out. That's what the cruise people say to me, that things show up, weddings and whatnot. People get divorced and, whatever. So this is horrible. I don't wish that on anybody.
A lot can happen in a
year. So go join the wait list at Bert Kreischer Cruise or fullyloadedatsea.com. I'm so excited. Alaska, we've added a second show at the Alaskan Airlines Centers. That's in like 3 weeks in December. I'll be there for a full week. And then that's it for my year. And then we are in Italy, Europe for January. Back out for the Super Bowl. Me, Shane Gillis, Mark Normand for the Super Bowl in Arizona. We're trying to think of a title for that show. I just pitched Super Bowls, but I guess you're not allowed to use Super Birdie Bowl. I don't know. They got a bunch of ideas. We're going to sell posters. It's going to be a special event. Tampa at the Amalie Arena. TD Gardens is almost sold out. Go to BertBertBert.com for the Tops Off World Tour that starts in January. Today's podcast. This guy's one of the best joke writers in New York. He is fucking awesome. I met him through watches. As everyone knows, I kind of got interested in watches very late in life. And, Segura and Rogan were turning me on to watches. And then Kevin Christie kind of just, like, I got interested. And I was at the cellar. Dude, this is the best thing about cool comics. He comes up, introduces himself. I already know who he is, Phil Hanley. He goes, hey, man, I noticed that you've been talking about watches lately. He is the reason I wore this watch on the special, because he's like, oh, man, come on, classic gold. You've always worn the gold Rolex. It's a gift my father gave me on my 40th birthday. So I wore this because of Phil. I think we talk about that in the special. We talk about
in the podcast.
In the podcast, my God. We talk about watches a little bit towards the end. He brings a watch that I'm really obsessed with. It's the watch Pan Am gave all their pilots. And as a guy who travels, I think this is cool as shit. It's the GMT 1645 or something. I forget the exact number, but it's the one Magnum PI wore. And he got it from a guy. And then another guy hit me up. He's like, yo, I got another one. Look, if you're a watch guy, towards the end of the podcast, you're going to hear us talking about watches. We talk a lot about the Grateful Dead. We talk a lot about the Grateful Dead and about music and why we love this music and why that music found us at that stage in our lives. We talk about our favorite songs. We talk about a lot about the Grateful Dead. We talk a lot about him growing up in Canada and him discovering the Dead by himself without anyone else. He is an amazing comedian. He's got a special on YouTube right now called Ooh La La. He is fucking phenomenal. Get ready to discover one of your new favorite comics if you don't already know him, but you should. Put your hands together. Without further ado, my friend, stand-up comedian, Phil Hanley. How about the app Be Real? Have you ever done Be Real?
No.
Here, grab the mic. We'll start. Are we good, Halston? It's Be Real is this app these kids showed me. They're like, it's the biggest app. Here, I'll do one with you right now. Take your Be Real. So it takes a picture of you and then what you're looking at. So then that's it.
Oh, cool.
And so and you just do it whenever you're at notification. It's like, yo, what are you doing right now? It's kind of cool. I mean, I don't know. You've kind of utilized Instagram for more to show your stand up.
Yeah, that's like, yeah. And I feel like I'm like late on the game. I feel
Really?
like a little bit. Like I went, yeah, like I started now I'm like every day, but I was like, a few times a week or whatever. But now I'm like, oh my God, I will not sell tickets if I don't do this.
So what's the algorithm then for you? You don't consider putting in material on Instagram burning material?
That was a worry, yeah, because I just did a special and I was like, I had a couple of those things had been posted earlier and I was a little paranoid about it.
Really?
Yeah, I was worried that people are going to be like, oh, we already saw this on Instagram.
Oh yeah, but you know what? I think I don't think that. I remember when I was young watching Dane and wanting Dane to do material that I had seen him do because I had brought friends to watch him do it.
It's my special came out.
Ooh La La.
Yep, Ooh La La 2 weeks ago, and then last weekend I was in San Diego, and I had to do like there was some of the material right. I remember I was talking to Molly from Punchline, and she said that the first time that Hedberg headlined the Punchline, people were like reciting his jokes like as he would set it up, they would say it with him.
Yeah.
And they were like so pumped that he was doing it. And I was like, okay, just keep that in your head. Cause otherwise you feel terrible. Like I was like, oh, fuck.
Well, I think that's part of the gig is that like most people, I think stand-up's weird. Tell me if you agree or disagree with this. But I think most people bring people to see a stand-up comic that they want to turn on to them. Like,
yeah. I think it's really like, like one person would follow you on Instagram and then be like super stoked and want to bring their friends. Yeah. And hope that they did certain jokes.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, look, I'm the wrong one to talk about this because I've been doing the machine for fucking.
Dude, you're the right. I have a machine story.
Really?
Yes. When 10 years ago, Sam Morril opened for you and came back and was like, I opened for Bird. He tells the best stories. And I've always wanted to tell stories in my act. Sorry, just distracting you.
Oh, no, not at all.
And
you are a straight up deadhead. That's two dead things.
Yeah, they're my.
Unless you're OCD, that's
no.
dead.
I am OCD. That's something else we're going to talk about. But
put that down next to the Dead.
But no, I love the Grateful. I
love the Grateful Dead.
It's funny that you love the Grateful Dead because I was thinking of you today, obviously, because I was coming in and I was thinking Bert would be the best Deadhead. Your enthusiasm.
I was really into the Dead, really into Fish, really into that whole scene, Widespread Panic. That was the how you're 39?
Yeah, I'm getting up there. Yeah.
Wait, how old are you?
Around there.
That was my whole scene. Like that was the music when I went to college and I decided I did not need to be the person I was in high school.
Yeah.
Because I was a little bit of a meathead in high school.
Okay.
And I was like, I remember I bought a Ziggy Marley tape. I bought a what was the name of the ska band where it was a black dude who played trumpet? Do you remember Fishbone?
Fishbone. Yes. Yeah.
I bought a Fishbone album, and I got introduced to Widespread Panic. And Widespread Panic, out of all the ones that I pulled out, was the one where I gravitated, and I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then from Widespread Panic, and the Dead was to me was almost like the Rolling Stone is to my daughter's friends. Like, they don't know the Rolling Stones, but they have their t-shirts.
Okay.
So like the Dead, you like when you went to college, you'd see posters of the Dead.
Yeah.
You'd see the dancing bears on the back of trucks. You'd see the skeletons holding hands.
Yeah.
But you didn't know no one was listening to the Dead. And then I discovered the Dead, and it was like the Beastie Boys. It took me a second to get them.
Yeah.
And then once I got them, I'm done.
Yeah. Like because I'm dyslexic, and Bob Weir.
My daughter's Isla's very dyslexic.
Oh, really?
Like possibly, and I would love to go head to head with you guys. The most dyslexic person you'll ever meet in your fucking life.
Dude, for me to text Peter there to get the phone number from an email into my phone was like, you know, like it was like what you to like crack a safe. Or detonate a bomb.
What dyslexic jokes do you have?
I have a lot. I have
a few.
Close to like 12. I think my special opens with like 10 or 12 minutes of dyslexic stuff.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Every time I write another chunk, I always, because it's everywhere. I'm actually writing a book about being dyslexic.
Really?
Yeah, I hope that's what it's about. That's a joke. But Peter knows what's up. Yeah, I'm writing a book about dyslexia, and I work with Eye to Eye, which is like a big advocate for kids with like learning differences. Yeah.
So Isla is so dyslexic. It has been a big bone of hilarity in our house. Because there was like, I mean, she gets her ass kicked with it. I mean, legit. I remember
it's brutal.
It's brutal because it is debilitating. I mean, on so many levels that I won't go into, because I know Isla was trying to grab onto a little bit of her privacy these days. But my favorite joke I have is she came up to me and she goes, "Have you seen this?" I said, "What?" She goes, "Mississippi's outlawing adoption." And I went, "Oh my God." And then I showed it to Leanne and she goes, "It's abortion, dickheads." And Isla goes, "Oh, so they want orphans."
Yeah. Sounds like Isla's joke, to be honest, Bert. But yeah, no, like there's that abortion, adoption, nightmare,
tranny, tyranny.
That would be trouble. That would be problematic.
I've read trannies. We need to stop trannies in this country. I've read that a lot.
And
I'm dyslexic also.
Anchovies. Are you really?
Yeah.
Anchovies and artichokes. It's total crap. They're very different on a pizza, and I just have to roll the dice. And I'm bummed if it's fish. Like it's just my life. Yeah. But so you're dyslexia, and that's why it took you so long to finish college.
I never could read a book. I could never read a book. I get so frustrated reading. And I read things wrong, and I'm sure you'll probably identify with this, but like any of the, like I to this day cannot Google House of Dragons and try to figure out the family line, because Daenerys and Desarsis and Desaces, it looks like the same word to me, and I give up. When I would read, there are words I just go, I'll never be able to sound it out.
Yeah, like this for me, and I don't know if it's like this for your daughter and you, but like for me, I can't identify a symbol with a sound. So any word I know, if I'm reading, it's just a word that I've memorized over my life. So like a compound word, like if there was a street called Greenwood, I'd be able to read that. But street names, last names, like I can't spell some of my best friends' last names. 100%.
There are. To this day, there are names of comics that I just don't say because it's a T, a V, or whatever. And like there's just names I just don't go for because it daunts me, where I just go, no. And I'm not that bad dyslexic. Isla is, I mean, we used to do a game for her where we would have her read street signs, and we're like, don't stress about it. Just read what you say.
Yeah.
Read what you see. And we would be crying, laughing at what she saw versus what we saw.
Yeah.
And we would have fun with it. I mean, we've always been lighthearted about it. I used to have a joke. When we went into her, I guess maybe first grade, second grade class, they were like, we need to hold her back a year. she's not reading.
Yeah.
And they couldn't diagnose dyslexia in LAUSD. They weren't allowed to qualify to diagnose dyslexia.
Yeah.
But they were like, we know she's dyslexic,
Yeah.
but we can't diagnose it. And I was like, and I said, as a joke, I said, can we just teach her Braille? And they're like, why? And I said, well, her eyes don't work. Like, if she learned to read Braille, would that be easier? They're like, we're not going to teach her Braille. And I said, well, hold on.
What about getting her a dog?
Yeah. I said, I go, okay, her eyes don't work. What if you had a blind kid? Would you just hold them back?
Yeah.
Because they can't read. And they go, no, we give them audiobooks. I go, can we give her audiobooks? And they were like, yeah, we could do that. Yeah, we could. Oh, fuck. Hang on. Give me 1 second. It's Rogan.
Okay.
You always got to take this call. Yeah. Halston asked me how I slept last night.
How did you sleep last night?
Fucking awesome. And I'll tell you why, because I took a 2-minute sleep quiz that told me how I like to sleep. It's so funny. Sleeping's something you do unconscious, so you don't even think about it. But then you wake up the next morning and you go, oh, Leanne has horrible sleep. She always complains about her sleep. I'm telling you, I picked the mattress that's right for me. That's why. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preference. Their lineup includes 14 unique mattresses, including a collection of luxury models and mattresses for Tom Segura, big and tall sleepers that even have a mattress made for kids. So how do you know which Helix mattress works best for your body? This is what I did. You take the 2-minute quiz and you get the perfect mattress in under 2 minutes. Your personalized mattress is then shipped straight to your door free of charge. They offer a 100-night risk-free trial. You can try out your new mattress, see how your body adjusts, and if you decide it's not the right one, you're welcome to return it for a full refund. Everybody's unique and everyone sleeps different. I didn't know that. It's so funny they have mattress stores. You just go and lay on it. And you're like, I guess this is good. You take the sleep quiz and you realize that some are more optimal for pressure relief if you sleep on your side. That's me. You ever wake up with your arm numb on a regular mattress at a hotel and you're like, whoa, my arm's numb. Well, it doesn't happen to my Helix. I'm telling you right now, I took the sleep quiz and I was matched with the perfect model. And because I wanted something for me sleeping on my side that would stop my arms from getting numb and my sciatic nerve from bothering me. And I'm telling you right now, I sleep amazing. It's the best sleep I've ever slept. And it's so easy to set up. I did a video of me setting it up. I set it up faster than I took the sleep quiz. You literally, out of the box, knife to the thing, and then you're on it. Don't take my word for it. They've been awarded the #1 mattress picked by GQ and Wired magazine, and it's even recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as a go-to solution for improving your sleep. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/Bert. With Helix, better sleep starts now. This podcast is brought to you by Gooder sunglasses. I love these sunglasses. They're lightweight. They're all 100% polarized. And if you're active like me and you jog, they don't slide off your face. Take it from a guy who ran the LA Marathon in 5 hours and 33 minutes and 33 seconds. These stylish sunglasses only start at $25. There's a year guarantee, 30-day free returns, 100% satisfaction guaranteed, and they're a 100% carbon neutral company, plus 1% for the planet. The expensive brands can't brag that out. I ran the LA Marathon in an expensive pair of sunglasses, polarized, thinking they were the perfect one. And I spent the whole time doing this, the whole freaking time pushing them back up. I got these Gooders. I went fishing. I'm telling you right now, I didn't even realize they were on my face. I'd lean over and they didn't slip off at all. My other ones slipped off. They are 100% polarized. That is so important if you have gorgeous blue eyes like I do. And I have a few pairs. They were kind enough to send me a bunch of pairs of Gooders, so I kind of rotate through them. I keep a couple in the car, keep a couple in Leanne's car. I have some right by the front door. I have some on the tour bus, and they're great. And they're great for running, cycling, working out, golfing, go to the beach, hiking, chilling out, and they look good. They're fun. They're affordable. And like I said, and I can't say this enough, they're 100% polarized. That is the big thing, because you'll see an upcharge from other companies when they sell polarized. They're stylish. They don't slip off, and they fit perfectly on my face. If you want to show support for the show and pick up a pair, Gooder is giving Bertcast listeners free shipping on your first order. I threw in a link in the show notes, and you're going to see me sporting them on social media too. But you can go to gooder.com/Bert for free shipping. Gooder offers a 30-day money-back guarantee and 100% satisfaction. Find your pair at gooder.com/Bert and get free shipping. That's GOODR.com/Bert and get free shipping. We leaked my trailer of my movie on his show yesterday.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So he was worried he was going to get sued by Legendary.
Oh, okay.
So he's been texting me all day. He's like, "What happened? What happened?" And so I was like, "Oh, we've been texting back and forth, playing phone tag. So I apologize for taking that."
Oh, no problem, man. No problem.
He's but yeah, it was a pretty chaotic. And then I had a fucking fitting today, and everyone.
What time did you fly back at?
I flew back first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a hard time with drinking on planes. Like I drink on planes. I'm afraid of flying.
Oh, okay.
So I drink on planes, and I haven't drank for a month, and I've been able to fly pretty good. Like okay.
Yeah.
So I flew home sober to this today, and which has never happens. I'm usually hammered by now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Are you a drinker?
I do. I enjoy drinking thoroughly, but I don't. I try to I just get hungover and I'm not productive, so I only have a couple drinks.
Really?
Sometimes I let loose.
I like to let loose.
Yeah.
So wait, let's go back to dyslexia.
Okay. Yeah, I thought of this is an autobiographical dyslexia joke that I have and it's so true. Like I was like, kindergarten was cool.
Yeah.
But I can spot a dyslexic. Like if I talk to your daughter and she seems smart and with it, and then sits down and can't read, you're dyslexic. Like it's so easy to spot. So I was like kindergarten, went really well, and then arrived in the first grade and like immediately, everyone starts reading. And the joke is that, and I just was like, okay, fine. I'll like stare out the window for a decade, which I did do. But then they would do this, like my first grade teacher and cause we're like similar ages. It was like no idea what dyslexia was. She would this is true. She put my desk at the back of the classroom facing the wall. And that's just where I was because I would get 0 on every spelling test.
Yeah.
And then the teachers would always be like, "We'll sound it out." And I'm like, that's like saying to like finding out someone's like deathly allergic to peanuts and being like, "Oh, chew slowly." Like it's the same thing, man. It's slow death. And
they had books. When I was a kid, they had little like folders, like pamphlet. They were cardboard, but they were little books and they were colored. It was like green, blue, purple, and it got to like silver, gold, and you would read them in first or second grade. You'd read them and you'd graduate slowly to the next one. And I could never get past the first one. I have a really hard time reading out loud, and so I have to trick prompter was a real fucking problem.
Oh, dude, it's my nightmare. Moving words move anyways, and then on a teleprompter. So yeah, I have to memorize stuff.
I memorize. So I'm really good at, if I read it once, I'm really good at memorization. Like actually to the point.
That's a skill because you're like there's all these strengths that dyslexics have.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure Delilah has these like strengths that no one else has.
Isla. Yeah. No. I was like, who the fuck's Delilah?
Yeah.
No, Isla. Well, Isla's brain is very. I mean, obviously, I've made a lot of money.
That's a
off
dyslexic
of her.
thing too, by the way.
What?
Delilah and Isla.
I got to get her to come out here because her brain obviously has made me a ton of money because all I've done is legit taken what she said and put it in my act and not touched it at all at times. And it has been the biggest stories I tell because her brain sees the world. I guess they say the majority of billionaires are dyslexic.
Yeah.
Because you're forced to create workarounds in your brain to get places.
Yeah.
I did a movie with Mark Hamill, and he actually pulled me aside and he said, "Your ability to memorize is unheard of." He goes, "No one, like I would memorize things, and I couldn't read the scripts, or I couldn't read them.
Yeah.
So I would have someone say them, and as soon as I said them, I had them committed to memory.
Yeah.
And so I had this woman, Anya, who would read my script in the morning. We'd do rehearsal, and I would have read it the night before, and she, but you changes in the morning.
Yeah.
And she would read the part of Bert, and everyone would do their scene, and I'd listen to her, and then I go, okay, I'll do it, and then I'd come in and I'd do it, and I'd immediately have it memorized. And I used to do that for Travel Channel. I used to do that for prompter reads. Like when I was doing Go Big Show, I'd read it through one time, and then I just memorized the chunks.
Dude, yeah, like that's I'm not surprised. Like that's a dyslexic thing. And then I would do this year I did this, like there was like this conference for Eye to Eye, which is an amazing organization.
Yeah.
And I was talking to the kids. There's like, teenagers there that are like the head of their group to help other dyslexic kids in their high school. And we're talking, and it's like, I really thought it was just a problem that just I had. And then every time you talk to a dyslexic, like we struggle with organization. Like I'm like late, or like to get to a flight, it's like a military operation for me. Like I gotta have my bag there, my thing there, my phone, everything's got to be packed and ready to go. We struggle in all these different things, but then we excel in all these different things. And the thing that sucks and the thing that messes the dyslexics up is we don't realize those things until you're done school. So you've been terrible every day till you're 18, and then you have this like weird self-esteem, and then you're set out. Like the statistic of people that are in prison that are dyslexic is so high, and I get it. Dude, it's like it's 7 out of 10 like people.
Really?
Yeah,
by the way,
learning disabilities.
That makes
learning
total
disabilities,
fucking sense.
and the most predominant learning disability is one that's related to words. But I get it. Like I was in special ed, and for some reason my parents, like I would come home and teachers would say I was dumb, and my dad would be like, God damn it, you're smarter than them. Like somehow my dad maintained my self-esteem throughout the whole thing. But like kids whose parents wouldn't accept they're dyslexic, that's a big thing where they're just in denial. They don't want to have that label on their kid, which is horrific, or penalize them for not being able to spell or whatever. Those kids are going to get into a fight, or they're going to just be pissed off and shoplift or do whatever. And it's going to lead to them getting into trouble.
My buddies,
see the correlation.
One of my buddies is a very wealthy dude, and he was hardcore dyslexic and just was like, I'm not going to college. I'll figure something out.
Yeah.
But that brain, I think, allows you to see the world. I don't know what it does. All I know is that I was not a very good student at all, and I never excelled in school. I would take tests and be like, I killed that, and I get a 35 and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And I would have misread the easiest thing, and I'd see it again and go, God damn it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I got through college. I mean, I
it's amazing that you did.
Well, it was 7 years.
Yeah.
But now in hindsight, my brain for this business is so what I should have been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
Is I love thinking of promos. I love thinking of opportunities. I love writing. I love fucking writing stories and jokes. I love it more than anything is to whittle away at and I will say that my dyslexia and I also have, I don't know if this is a thing, but I mishear people a lot. Like I mishear people constantly. And people will say something and I'll mishear them and I'll start laughing. And then they'll go, what's so funny? And I'm like, what did you just say?
Yeah, my mom's no longer with us.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, I got that right.
Yeah. There's a guy who said he got paralyzed because he fell asleep in the back of a truck. And I thought he said he got paralyzed from the waist up. And I was like, wait, is that a thing? And then I pictured it and I couldn't stop laughing. And they're like, it's not funny. And I was like, hold on. And I couldn't stop. But that, honestly, that when I first started stand-up, that was like how I'd get a joke, was misreading or mishearing something.
Well, I mean, another part of it is if you struggle with reading and writing, and that's how the education system is set up, then you're like a coiled spring. So when you find, like, I never had where like the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. I never had that. I would try to read every single day and graduated like high school with like first grade reading level. You know what I mean? So when you find stand-up or something that you're good at, you're just like, holy shit. Like if I do a show, I'll be better at this tomorrow. It's like dyslexia, once you're out of school, helps you in so many different ways.
Are you an only child?
No, I have a brother and sister, both readers.
Canadian?
Yes.
Vancouver?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Ontario, but I started comedy in Vancouver.
What's Ontario?
Ontario's the province where Toronto and Ottawa is. Ontario's just
Ontario's Windsor.
Yeah, Windsor. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'm in Ontario in a week.
Oh, really?
I'm in in December. I'm sorry, in December.
Okay, cool.
I'm doing shows in Ontario in December. What's the difference between Ontario and say Alberta?
So it's British Columbia is on the west coast, and then Alberta's beside
But like,
it.
give it to me in states.
Oh, okay.
And like American states.
Ontario is like New York State. Alberta's like Texas.
Really?
Yeah, Alberta's like
that would make sense. Why I always did well in Alberta.
Alberta's like or like was it goes back and forth, but like oil and like dudes in the crowd worked at oil rigs
and had tons of toys.
Yeah, and voted for Trump even though they're Canadian. And yeah, no, that's a Trump. That's a like there you would see a Trump flag in Alberta. In Canada, not even in the he has no jurisdiction.
Yeah,
but so that's more of it's very Texas like.
Were you into the Tragically Hip?
I was once I discovered the Dead when I was a kid. I was like really just into the like. I mean, I like other music, but
yeah,
I admired the Tragically Hip. I had friends that went to school in their kind of hometown, so they would kind of be around.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Kingston, Ontario. So they would kind of be around and stuff. So I really admired them. I was like. Sad.
One of them passed away, right?
Yeah, the lead singer.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
That sucks when you find out that people can die like that.
I know. He was, I mean, they had such a strong following in Canada. And they tried to break it. Canadian bands have trouble kind of breaking in the States. And they're a band that, I mean, they have so many great tunes. You think they would have been, and Dan Aykroyd got them on SNL. They did do SNL. And then that was like, I think their big kind of shot to try to break the States, but it just never kind of went down.
Yeah. I remember when I backpacked through Europe, every Canadian was like, you know, the Tragically Hip, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, did they call them the Hip?
Yeah. The Hip, man. Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. You got to get in with the Hip.
Yeah. Like,
you would love it.
Their last show, our Prime Minister was in the crowd and
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah. He was like rocking out.
I get him mixed up with other people. But people in Canada don't like Justin Trudeau, right?
Like I'm pretty out of touch with Canadian politics just because it's so less entertaining than American politics. It's pretty blasé.
Well, you guys, because I made a joke about the Queen in Vancouver. Vancouver.
Yeah.
And because I was like I was performing at the Queen Elizabeth Theater.
Yeah.
And I made a joke about, I thought it was going to be an easy fucking steal of a joke.
Yeah.
And boy, they fucking hated the Queen.
Oh, they didn't get that.
She was a colonizer.
Yeah, that's very Vancouver of them. We had like in our classrooms, we have a huge photo of the Queen and on our money and stuff.
Yeah.
But the Queen still has a presence.
It's kind of crazy to me. What was it? What I always get confused I always think Toronto is where Vancouver is.
Okay.
I never can place Toronto, and I've been to Toronto a lot.
Yeah, Toronto's a great town. It's like kind of just up from New York City. It's like a 10-hour drive or something like that from New York City north.
Did you do Montreal young?
I did Montreal, I think maybe like 5 years in or something like that, but I did the Canadian there's this thing called the homegrown competition, and they fly you in and you compete. But if you don't get first or second in the competition, you fly home like the next day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's a bummer. But I was able to, I got like runner up or whatever. So I stayed and kind of did like Canadian shows at the festival.
Did you start doing stand up in Vancouver?
I did. Yeah.
And like what was the scene like in Vancouver compared to, which is like the badass scene is Seattle's got a great scene.
Yeah.
Fucking Portland's got a great scene.
Our scene at the time was great. When I started, it was really good. I think it's changed a lot, but we had like Zach Galifianakis was there. He was like filming like a TV show there, and he would come and do like these open mics for like 8 people, like after shooting. And I had never seen anyone so funny. I'd never seen anyone
so fucking good,
so fucking funny, and these super short, like smart jokes. And he would like take the mic and walk out on the street, and then like cruise around, like just do whatever. And so I was really lucky to see him. But there was a lot of really funny comics at the time.
How long were you in Vancouver before you moved to New York?
I was there 8 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then I moved. When I started, I would always watch the Seinfeld documentary, and I'd always see Seinfeld and Colin Quinn hanging out at the cellar, and I was like, if I could only,
That's the fucking wait. I just recently saw that again.
I've
When was the last time you saw it?
probably 6 years ago, but I have seen it like 110 times or something like that. I'd watch it every night.
It's
before I went out.
crazy. It's crazy that they. It's crazy. I'm going to say this carefully, but it's crazy that they did that to Orny.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Because anyone would talk recklessly like that. They did that before really reality television the way we know it is.
Yeah.
So you would think if you signed with a manager and they're doing a documentary and they're profiling you, you'd think they'd edit out the shitty parts of you, but they just kept in all the shitty parts.
Yeah, but then when you, I know, but then when you see it like storytell, like it's so complimented, like as a film.
Yeah.
I could see why they did it like that.
I mean, there's a lot you could say about that, and I would say one thing is when you know Orny, that is a lot of what you get with Orny. Like they represented Orny as in Orny. Orny was that guy at that time in his life.
Yeah.
But it was. I remember watching it and being like, oh wow, that's crazy.
It would have been weird. Did you know Orny the first time you saw it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I didn't meet him till like years later.
I knew Orny pretty well, I guess. See, Orny's an interesting guy. Have you know Orny now?
I've just met him a couple times.
He's a murderer on stage, like a murderer.
I've seen him kill.
He kills on stage, but he is a very vocal dude. Like there was a generation of comics in New York when I started that were dudes. I'm trying to think of the right way to say this without sounding insensitive, but like dudes that in comics did not talk busted balls on. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like when did you move to New York?
I moved to New York around 10 years ago.
Okay. Huh. So like Patrice is already dead, right?
Yes, Patrice said. I started coming to New York. I would like play terrible like road gigs in like rural British Columbia.
Yeah.
Save up my money, rent an Airbnb for like a month, and then I would come before I actually moved there. I would come and just kind of like try to do open mics and try to like
He died in
place
2011.
myself.
So yeah, probably 2011.
I got to see him perform once.
His group was like Norton, Voss, Bobby, Patrice, Colin,
What a crew.
DePaulo. I mean, it was the funniest dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like the elder statesmen to me, but even though I'm probably as old as Jim Norton, I'm guessing, but like they were still elder statesmen to me. How old is Jim Norton?
But the one thing,
No, he's 5 years older than me.
the one thing that I'll say, I remember reading press when Comedian first came out, and Seinfeld did say that the way Orny expresses himself, the way he was perfect, because every comic has that in them.
Everyone did, but man, they really like when he said my most memorable scene was like was when he talks to Barry Katz and he goes, "Where the fuck is
The Stephen Wright thing."
Yeah, and you're like, Stephen
Yeah.
Wright. And I can see that, but like, it's just something I would be like, dude, please don't put that in the movie.
I'm begging you,
Yeah.
Stephen Wright. I mean, talk about a statesman. I mean, Stephen
He's
Wright.
the fucking greatest.
Yes, but also you could see how. I mean, I don't think I've ever been so unhappy with a set that I would like talk shit about Stephen Wright afterwards. But
Yeah.
you could see after a bad set, you're raw and you can say thing. You know what I mean? You're not at your best if you're not happy with your set.
Especially when someone comes in and goes, "Can I tell you? Give you some advice?"
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah.
and he's like, maybe a little less of this and a little more of that, and you're like,
I mean, the most mellow dude in the world would have trouble taking that if you weren't, you know what I mean? Especially when you build up to these things like JFL or like a big set. And if you're not, even if it goes well, but you're just not fully happy,
oh,
you know?
what's the biggest show you've done? Like the most nervous you've ever been?
The auditioning for The Cellar was wild. It was wildly nervous.
Really?
Oh God, I was dying.
Who recommended you?
Kevin Brennan recommended me.
That's an interesting rec these days.
Yeah, it's very controversial. Edit that out. But like,
can I just say that, guys? And I know that it is problematic to even talk about Kevin because Kevin will hear this and then he'll go off on a fucking rant. But I love Kevin Brennan.
yeah, I mean,
I know that maybe, Kevin's a little bit of a shit starter, but he was the first guy I met in New York. He was nice as fuck to me.
yeah.
And I've never had a problem with him. He's talked shit about me. I've heard about it, but
Yeah.
I still fucking, guy makes me giggle.
Totally. I mean, he kills. He still kills. I opened for him at Go Bananas, and I remember when I was open for him during the day, we were at lunch, and he was talking to Attell on the phone, and I was like, "This is crazy."
Yeah.
I'm having lunch with someone who has Dave Attell's phone. Like it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And he vouched for me, and then I waited a full year because I just moved to New York, and I playing the Cellar was everything. It was my goal when I first started in Vancouver, and so I woke up that day when I was going to audition, and I was dying. And back then they didn't audition that many people. Like,
what year is this? 2012, 2010?
Yeah, like I think around like probably 2012.
I'm trying to think.
2013 maybe.
No, I got passed at the Cellar in 2000. Type in Mark Maron, Never Mind the Buzzcocks. That's when I got passed. I went to do that show in New York. It's got to be 2000.
I remember the name of that show. I can't place what it is.
I got passed in 2002.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. And I said to Manny, is it Manny?
Yeah.
I said to Manny, my recollections are two things. Number one, in my recollection, Manny had an accent. And I know he doesn't, but in my recollection, he had a fucking strong accent.
Yeah, I never got to meet Manny.
Well, I told the story to Pete Corielli. And Pete goes, "No, it's a great story, but Manny doesn't have an accent, right?" And I was like, "For real?
Did he ride a horse?"
Yeah. And so he passed me and he said, "You can work here." Marin vouched for me. And he's like, "Why don't you go up now?" So I went downstairs, I went up, and he goes, "You're funny, you can work here whenever you want." And I was like, he goes, call SD for your spots, for your veils. And I went, "I live in LA. I said, if you had passed me 6 months ago, I would not be living in LA. I'd be living in New York. I'd stayed in New York.
Yeah.
I wasn't passed here and I moved to LA and now I have a house there. And he's like, "Well, call when you come into the city." I go, and I literally was like, "I never come to New York. I just got rid of my apartment. I was doing Bicoastal and I was there to pack out my apartment and do the show. But I would have stayed in New York if I had gotten past at the Cellar." It's so interesting because that place was it's so like the Comedy Store in that it can be problematic for comedians that get lost in it. You know what I mean?
In what sense that becomes their everything?
It becomes it is such a benchmark.
Yeah.
To get past there.
Yeah.
That sometimes that's all they need.
It's funny that you say that because when I was listening to your episode with Tim Dillon and you guys were saying that you both said you didn't get past and how it changed and made you move here. Yeah, for me, like when I got past there, that I hadn't made a goal. First off, I'd never been good at anything before. Like I wasn't someone who achieved goals. So when I achieved that one, it was just like, and I love like the Cellar's one of my favorite things that I get to do. And I live deliberately a 15-minute walk from the Cellar, and I walk there every night and do a spot. And, like it feels like family. And
it's a great feeling to be in that. It's a great feeling to be like, "Oh shit, it's 9:00, time to make my walk."
Yeah.
And for me, my walk was to the Boston Comedy Club. I never once had anxiety about going there. I was excited to go there.
Yeah.
I was excited to do stand-up. Whereas now I even when I go to the Cellar, to the store, I will get a little anxiety, like, "Oh fuck, I got to work tonight."
Yeah.
I want to just stay home with my family, open a bottle of wine and go to sleep. I don't need, what the fuck do I need this for? But back then, man, that walk was hungry. Keep going. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, but I had the same thing. Like at the time I was living in the West Village. I was living this crazy situation. My roommate was 75, but I was living in the West Village.
Yeah.
And I would walk it was like a 12-minute walk then. Now I live in East Village, but I would walk and I would think to myself, these are the good old days as they're happening. Like I was so grateful to be working at the Cellar. All my friends, I was so nervous because Sam had already been passed, Norman had already been passed, Joe Mackey had already been, all my friends were already passed and working there.
Yeah.
And God, it was one of those. I used to get it when I first started stand up. You know, when you wake up and your first thought is, oh, well, I got to do stand up. That's what it was. It was one of those things. And I think my audition was like 10:30. Like it was a long ass day getting ready. And again, not a lot of people were getting passed back then. And I remember I was going up and I remember watching, like, as I'm like on stage taking the mic, I could see like Attell walk down, Nikki Glazer walk down. My friends were like in the hallway because at the time it was like a big deal to audition and to get passed and stuff like that. Yeah.
I was always late to all of that. Like I never even got past to the Boston Comedy Club. I just worked the door. So like, and then no one was ever like, hey man, we'd like you to work the club. I just worked the door. And then I could work on weekends because I do weekends there, but I didn't, like never got past to the Cellar when I lived there. I mean, I did, when I moved to New York, never got past it. Comic Strip, Gotham, Stand Up New York, any of those. Did spots there, never got past. Moved out to LA. I kind of got past at the Improv, never got past at the Laugh. Take that back. I got past the Laugh Factory and very quickly realized I don't want to be in this group.
How long were you doing stand up before you moved to LA?
6 months.
Oh, you just started?
Yeah, I did. Well, I got a deal with Will Smith and I moved to LA and moved in at the Universal Sheridan.
Oh,
and I lived there for 7 months.
Wow.
And then I moved back for like a couple weeks, maybe more. And I flew back out, maybe 3 months. I moved back for 3 months. And then I came back out and did another show. I did a showcase for ICM and I got another deal and a TV show.
Whoa.
And so I had my apartment in New York and I was bi-coastal. This is probably 99 now. No, this is 2000.
Okay.
And 2000, I was on this TV show for about a year. It ended in 2001. And then, September 11th happened and I had both places. And then around 2002, I was like, I'm going to get rid of New York. I'm not flying back and forth.
Yeah.
So I moved back out. And that's when I met Manny. And that's the first time I ever did the Cellar. But then still it was like, I didn't have like carte blanche to call in avails because Manny passed away.
Yeah.
And it was like never, if I was in New York, I was like, I just won't even bother anyone. I'll do spots at the Boston or wherever.
Uh-huh.
Boston was gone, I think, by that time. And I think it was a wine bar. And then I just would, and then I started doing the road and I was like, fuck it. But the store was the big one for me.
Okay.
To get past the store, because I was a grown up and I was successful already. I already had TV shows and I was already a touring comic and I was already like really good at stand up and I wasn't passed and I wasn't getting passed. There was no track for me getting passed. I remember Bill Burr and Al Madrigal pulled Adam Egan aside and they were like, hey, you should pass Bert. He should be working here. And he was like, yeah. I can't. And I was like, huh? And he just said, he's like, I'm so sorry. He's like, I remember Bill going, hi, I thought that was going to go differently. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, Bert. And then there was the stink of failure was on me.
Oh,
and everyone just kind of walked away. And I was like, okay.
So when did you get, when did you get passed?
I went, it's so funny. I went to Montreal one year. It was the worst single worst experience. I'd gone to Montreal before that and I had a really great experience. I did a showcase. I didn't do like new face. I didn't do anything good, but I did a showcase. I did another showcase. I jumped in on a couple shows and I did a storytelling show and the storytelling show was really good. It was when no one knew who I was. So I showed up and I did like 2 different stories. I did The Machine on one of them and I did this story about fighting a bear. And they fucking destroyed. I mean, they destroyed. There were bits, but I'm a storyteller, so I was fine. And then I was like, great, Montreal's awesome. So I go back the next year, Montreal, and it was a different experience. I was on one show, and it was done by CISO in a warehouse, and they had built a comedy stage and a background in a warehouse. and put seats in a
Perfect.
warehouse. Like literally, it was almost like if this is the warehouse, they did this and built like a stage with a wall, and then just put seats here. And then this was all still a huge fucking warehouse.
I did a comedy way too soon. I did a comedy special in Canada like 4 years in.
Yeah.
And that was the deal. Like you could still see like dust rising. Like you knew there was where the seats are, there was going to be a forklift in like 20 hours.
Janeane Garofalo bombed so bad. And I'm saying this respectfully to Janine, because we all bombed.
Uh-huh.
But Janeane Garofalo, like a legit stand-up comic.
Yeah. Huge at like famous.
Hugely famous. Went and hid, and I apologize if Janine hears this and is upset by this, but this is the truth. Went and hid in hair and makeup and wouldn't go out to the lobby where everyone, like the waiting room where all the execs and all the other comics were. And I went back there and I said, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "I'm embarrassed." And I said, you did, by the way, as a comic, it was one of my favorite things to watch because it was Janine it was her stream of consciousness. It's what she does best, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. It did not go over well with the audience because they were just
they're warehouse workers.
Yeah, they're warehouse workers.
Yeah.
Janine was fucking brilliant. But I said to her, I said, you were fucking amazing. By the way, truth be told, I'm so attracted to Janeane Garofalo.
Okay.
I've always had a fucking massive crush on her.
Hope she does hear this.
I hope she does. I hope she knows she's got a ride or die for life. She is so fucking sexy. Anyway.
She's very cute.
I fucking love her. I love her. And so she's sitting in hair and makeup. She's like, "I'm embarrassed." And I go, "Janine, we all fucking bombed." I was like, "You did not bomb." She was like, "I did bad." And I go, No. You didn't see what I did. And I was like, mine was horrific. She was like, "For real?" I go, "Trust me, you did not do." And by the way, she didn't even do remotely as bad as she thought she did.
Yeah.
And so we all go into the thing, and then she hung out, and everyone's like, "Holy shit, Janeane Garofalo's here."
Yeah.
And everyone lights up, and then she was she was sober, I think. And that trip was a spiral. I was drinking too much. I was not being healthy. I was fat as fuck. My show that I was doing for Travel Channel was about to get canceled. I knew that.
Oh shit.
And I had nothing going on. And my best friend was blowing up. Tom was just about to turn a corner in his career where like he was going to do theaters and I had nothing going on. And Adam Egget came up and was like, "Hey man, it's been way too long. You're past to the store. Like I have room and I'd love for you to come."
Oh, that's great.
And
man.
out of that whole fucking shit experience, I can tell you where I was standing by the bar, over to the left of the bar where Bobby Kelly, you know how they set up podcasts sometimes?
Yeah.
Like right when you walk out of the elevators.
Yeah.
I was over there and I was like, "Hey, this trip was worth it. I got past at the store." Did my first set at the store. Terrified. Got bumped by Judd Apatow, Louis C.K., and Daniel Tosh.
What year would this be?
I don't know. It's type in Bert the Conqueror. It's the last season of Bert the Conqueror. So I remember I was in therapy pretty aggressively at the time. I was a fucking mess. It was 2010.
My first, it was like years before I got comfortable at the Cellar. Even now, if you do like something new and it doesn't hit, you're like, "Oh, I better pull this out real quick." It's still high. You're still performing in front of that sign, and it's still the sign that was like my like aspiration or whatever.
So like 2016 is when I got past this at the store. It's crazy.
Dang, that's way too late.
Wait, 2016?
You started Bert the Conqueror in 2010.
Yeah.
And then it ended in 16.
Yep, 2016 is when I got past the store. I was 40. Let's see, I'm turning 50, so I was 44. I was 44. It's good. I'm glad I had all late success.
Well, that's when I was listening to, and it's so clear, it's so obvious to even state, but when I was listening to you and Tim, I was like, so that's like the best thing that happened to you guys was not, it's so funny that life works like that, where it's like, it must have been such a bummer if you weren't working at the Cellar to be in New York, but it's like the greatest thing that's, because you do, and it's a great thing, but feels very fulfilling, and you can just walk there every day for, and then you wouldn't have created all the stuff.
I wouldn't have been. There's a lot of things that are good about late success, I think.
I hope to experience that.
Just keep waiting. You got 10 years. The older you are when you succeed, the more empathetic you are to your coworkers.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, there's dudes that are probably a bad example, but like, I can't name names. I can't name names, but I mean, I won't. But there are dudes who believe that God had anointed them with all the talent in the world,
Yeah.
and so maybe for whatever reason they either stop working as hard or I don't know, but like when that doesn't happen to you, you realize there's no anointment going on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And also, I mean, it's like, I mean, it's even cliche to say, but like everyone's stories of when starting out are always the stories that they talk about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even the Beatles, they talk about them being in Germany and playing all those gigs and stuff like that.
Well, it's funny. You said I'm living the best days of my life right now.
Yeah.
I used to have a term that I used to say a lot. It was called salad days. Do you know what salad days are?
I follow an account called Salad Days on Instagram.
Type in salad days. I'm gonna fuck it up, but technically, if life is a meal, the salad is the thing that comes out the period when one is young and inexperienced,
Oh, okay.
at the peak or the heyday of something. You journey back to the salad days of the railroad. So I used to call when I was. I mean, I'm pretty naive when it comes to happiness, because I find it. I readily find it. Meaning, I like even when I'm depressed, and I'm going through a bit of depression right now. That's part of the reason Joe called. You can see it on me. You can see it on me, but I can barrel through it and go, oh, it's a mindset. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
I can decide to be bummed out, or I can turn it around.
Yeah.
Usually, I've always done that with booze, but lately, I think people can see it a little more readily on me because I haven't been drinking this month. But I find that those early days, the early days of working the door at the Boston Comedy Club, hardcore salad days, my favorite days.
Yeah.
My first move out to LA, when I first moved to LA and I discovered LA, all the smells, all the different scents.
Yeah.
Like I'm big on like sensory shit.
Yeah.
The hardcore salad days. My first TV show, I'll never have better days than that. Touring on the road, 10 years I spent doing stand-up just on the road. Fucking the greatest.
Yeah. It's
the fucking greatest.
Well, you can look back. Like I remember I was thinking of a gig the other day where we drove, I think it's called like Murray Lake or something. It's like way, way, way up northern BC. Like you're heading towards Alaska.
Yeah.
Driving up, doing the gig, then getting in the car and driving home. So it's like 22 hours in the car or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's brutal at the time, but when you look back, it does something to you when you think about it. You know what I mean? Like all that struggle stuff. So then so you left, did you start stand up right after college?
Yeah. Well, but I was in college for like 7 years or whatever. But then I then I moved right to New York.
I would have been in my friends. My parents were like, my brother and sister went to college. My parents were just like, for my health, my physical health, they didn't think I could do it because they knew if I set my mind to it, I would force myself.
Yeah.
I would have been at least 7 years.
Oh yeah.
So I moved to Europe, and then I was a model in Europe for 4 years.
What?
Yes, and that's how my way to stand up comedy was so roundabout.
No fucking way.
Yeah, that's what I did. All my friends went to college. Yeah.
And you modeled in Europe?
Shockingly, yes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that? Where did you go?
So the thing is, when you start, you're supposed to live, the smart thing is to live in Milan. You're supposed to live in Milan, but you'd be in it would be like a college residence, only just models. Like at one point I was living in a room with 5 other male models.
Are you pulling up modeling pictures?
No, I don't think those are all stand-up stuff. But I don't know if there are any online. I have some on my phone I can show you afterwards.
You've got great modeling hair. Like you got like that ridiculous thick hair.
Oh, thanks.
It's everywhere and it just doesn't leave.
But I lived in Milan, and then I would live in London because I liked London better, and I would work in Milan. I'd work in Paris. I do like the runway shows and stuff.
One of my best friends, he's passed, but he was a model, and and he was just gorgeous dude, but he lived in Miami and modeled out of Miami. That was his.
I wasn't good looking enough to like work in, like, I wasn't like buff and, you know, this is before I was jacked. I wasn't buff and to work in the States, but in Europe they like these like skinny dudes with long hair, and I was
Yeah.
a skinny dude with long hair. It was during the heroin chic thing.
How did you get discovered to model?
I had a friend who's still my friend, and she was like a successful model. And I remember I visited her in New York. All our friends were in college or going to college in September. This was
Yeah.
like August. And I told her that I had applied for a job in the convenience store across from my high school, which would have been like, prove all the teachers that were like, you're not going to do anything. And I'm like, no shit. And also, you know, they'll charge you $1 for your chunky bar or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck, you know? So I would have proved them right. And she was like, no, she was like, come live with me and I'm going to introduce you to like photographers and you can be a model. And I was like, I had never swam publicly without a t-shirt on. Like I was skinny and really paranoid about it. And she introduced me to people in the States, and I wasn't really the right look at the time for the States. And then I went to Europe. I did the shows, and I booked shows or media. I booked Armani the first year. I booked Dolce & Gabbana. And then so in Europe I could work, but my goal was to always live in New York and, you know, do something in New York,
Yeah.
not model. I was quite embarrassed.
So wait, how much did you make good money?
Yeah, you make for standing in a pair of Dockers. Yeah, you make good money. It's like the easiest.
Like, what would you make? Like,
I guess like at the time, I guess for like fashion shows and stuff like that, you'd get like a few $1,000. If you'd get more if you were you know, famous or like
Yeah.
big or whatever. But I did like I did a car commercial. My last job, the whole time I was like, this isn't what I want to do. I wanted to find something that I was like passionate about and was really
Yeah.
into. And I'd meet like stylists, photographers, and like even other models that were like into it. And I was just like, this isn't for me. And I booked a commercial. It was a Pontiac commercial. Sly Stallone did the voiceover. He
Yeah.
wasn't there, but it paid like more money. It was like, I don't know, like $35,000, something like that. And I was like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah.
And I moved home to Vancouver and I started doing improv, and then I started doing stand-up.
Really?
But I lived in Europe and modeled for 4 years.
did you have sex with models?
I have done that before. Yeah.
Shut up.
Not it wasn't a frequent thing. Because female models are more into like they can have like rock stars and like
Yeah.
Formula One racers and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I would have sex with models after they retired, like, you know, way, way after they retired. I was kidding. No, but I dated a couple models, but they weren't like, ooh, who's the skinny guy that seems
Yeah.
insecure about what we're doing? You know what I mean? They were like, you know, there were dudes though that were like cocky about it. But for me, just where I grew, like my hometown and stuff like that, I was like, in my head the whole time, I was like, the people that I look up to would not do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Jerry was not gonna like
Yeah.
strut down the runway. So I just felt weird, but
Did you
when
do
it-
drugs?
yeah, I did do drugs. Yeah. Quite frequently. I did more
Quite
drugs
frequently.
in high school. I did because school sucked
Yeah.
and I needed a release. And I was like a big fan of LSD. I mean, acid and the Grateful Dead and skateboarding. It's just, those three things are just so good.
I can never get into LSD.
Oh, really?
It's too long of a commitment.
It wasn't long enough for me. I needed, and I felt dirty about it because I was like, my friends my age, like their older brothers, these dudes I looked up to would be like, oh, Phil's taking acid. Like it was like, it
Yeah.
was still a faux pas back then. It was before like, you know, everyone was like taking ayahuasca and shit. And I said that I had a therapist and I was talking to him. I was like, yeah, I always just felt guilty about like, part of me felt a little bit dirty about doing drugs. And he's like, you struggled so much in school that you needed like a release that was like, took you to another dimension. And immediately I was like, that's exactly what happened. Because soon as I left high school and was like modeling and stuff, and then was like, any drug was available. It wasn't like, modeling wasn't like just filled with drugs, but you could certainly get what you wanted.
Yeah.
I was kind of disinterested. Like I wasn't, you know, I dabbled, but I was disinterested. It was really
Yeah.
just when school sucked.
When the escape.
Yeah, I just needed an escape. Yeah.
I have a weird thing going on with alcohol right now, and I can't figure it out. If I have like we drank that yesterday, and I never could turn the corner on the buzz. Like I just
You
drank.
could never get.
I could never where it.
Oh, were you drunk?
Nope.
Wow.
And I drink a lot.
I marvel. And then because I know you party when you're on the road and stuff,
Yeah.
and I have, good friends that have worked with you or toured with you. I'm always like, how do you do? And then you like wake up and go on a treadmill.
Yeah.
If I'm hungover, I'm just like, talk about depressed.
Oh no, I love working out when I'm hungover.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel I'm very. It's interesting because I have a lot of. I'm punitive to myself, so I get if I'm hungover, I feel like I deserve to punish myself.
Oh, okay.
And then sometimes when I'm not hungover, I go, oh, I can just go to bed. I didn't drink 3,000 calories tonight. I
Yeah.
can just go to bed right now. But yeah, I'm debating on whether or not to drink tonight. 'Cause tomorrow's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, man.
Thank you. I turned 33, and
You look great. Me too. We should model together. I don't know why we can't cut to the chase.
do you realize if I had lived in your shoes, I would have committed 100% to modeling?
I do. When I was thinking just because I was really looking forward to doing the podcast.
Yeah.
And when I first met you, it was at the Cellar, and I met you. You hadn't seen me or whatever.
I had seen yours. Wait, was this? When was this?
Probably like a year ago or something.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
I had been following you on Instagram.
But I had followed. So I wanted to start telling stories. Sam said you were a great storyteller, so I had watched your stand-up so much to see how you told stories, because I was always set up a punchline. So in my special, I have 2 stories, and they're completely, you wouldn't see parallels to yours, but I learned how to do that from watching you.
Oh, really?
100%. Yeah, the way a guitar player learns from listening to Led Zeppelin or whatever.
The last time I was in New York, so someone told me we had a similar bit, and I was like, oh shit, and then I was like, I'm gonna have to keep doing it. It's too good for me. Like it's too good.
What's the
and
bit?
It's a transition. It's edit this out, would you? Because I think I'm gonna put it in my special.
Oh.
The holiday season is upon us. You are thinking about what to get a family member. I will tell you what I've purchased almost every year for almost everyone in my circle, to be dead honest with you. Skylight frame. Skylight frame is a photo frame that you can update instantly by email anywhere. It's a stylish, I think I have a matte black frame. It's timeless. It looks great. You get 2 size options. You can get a 10-inch, or they have a new 15-inch frame, and they are awesome. You upload all your pictures to that frame. It's like a little screen, sits in my kitchen, and they circle through pictures. And what's great is I have different accounts, so I can send certain pictures to my parents, certain pictures to my sisters. We have one for the campers. We got all the campers ones. We have one for George up at school. And it's awesome. It looks like a real photo frame that adds a beautiful touch to your home. It's timeless, like a black frame or a white matte one. It sits in my kitchen, and it's gorgeous. And it's got a touch screen that lets you swipe through photos and even tap a little heart to let you know the person that sent the photo to you that you loved it. And it's nice. I love it. I gave one to my mom. I gave one to sisters, my brother-in-law, my aunt. I literally everyone on my team has one, because it's a great way to share memories. You know what I mean? So non-tech, my mom set it up. So if my mom can set it up, you don't have to worry about anyone setting it up. As a special offer, you can get $15 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com and enter the code BERT. That's right. Get $15 off your purchase of a Skylight frame. Just go to skylightframe.com and enter the code BERT. That's SKYLIGHTFRAME.com and use the promo code BERT. It's never too early to play holiday music. It's never too early to start thinking about your gifts, whether it's for a friend or the friend in your pants. I love Manscaped. I love their reads. These reads are always fun. You can make this season to be a jolly one with Manscaped. Do your little drummer boy a favor and use the Lawnmower 4.0 to avoid another silent night in the bedroom. Then add in Manscaped's top-of-the-line shower products to have the people thinking, all I want for Christmas is you. Santa cares about his sack, and so should you. Look nice when you get naughty and get free shipping and 20% off by going to manscaped.com/Bert. For real, I'm not even joking. all fun aside, these are the best grooming products you're ever going to find. Their Lawnmower 4.0 is has skin safe technology, so you're not going to nick your balls. And trust me, I'm an old school dude who's been shaving his balls since the 90s. You used to hack up your junk. It's also got like a 4000K LED light, so when I shave my balls over the toilet, you can see what you're doing. All they have the platinum package. The platinum package has each product from the best-selling performance package, plus ultra premium body wash, which I have and I love, ultra premium 2-in-1 shampoo, which I have and I love. It's got shampoo and conditioner. They're super easy, steel in like a pump. They sit right in my shower, and I go one, then the other. They got ultra premium deodorant. It's the best way to smell fresh, from your Santa hat to your candy cane. All of Manscaped shower gear is sulfate-free, vegan, and made to make your skin feel hydrated and smelling fresh. But smelling good doesn't stop at the shower. The Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner can solve stank problems all day long. Once they touch your sack, you'll never go back. This is a company, if they put this much thought into their copy, right? Just their copy. Imagine how great their products are. This is a company who does not leave one stone unturned. They know what they're doing. You have one thing on your body that is the most important thing on your body. It's your dick and balls. That's it. You may need to bleep those, Halston. Your junk is the most important thing on your body. If there's one thing you said you could cut off, I'll tell you the last thing. You could cut my head off before you cut my junk off, okay? If they're going to take that much attention to the detail in their copy, imagine the kind of detail they're going to pay on your junk. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/Bert. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/Bert. Manscaped. Get your jingle balls ready for the holidays. What bands have you found adjacent to the Dead? Like, what bands do you like now? Because like I feel like the bands that they want you to like that are based on the Dead aren't, but I feel like what the Dead did was teach us a list of things that we can appreciate in music that aren't. Like, everyone wants me to love G-Love and Special Sauce.
Okay.
And I've never been able to turn the corner, or the Spaghetti Incident.
Yeah, I it's so bad and it's so painful for people that I date, but I like, my favorite band is the Grateful Dead, and my second favorite band is the Jerry Garcia band. And I just listen to, because I write all the time. I'm working on this book.
What's Grissom and Garcia is a great
all this bluegrass stuff. And then now Bob Weir, my favorite dyslexic, is playing with like an orchestra, and it's amazing.
Is it really?
He's playing Dead tunes with a horn section and a pedal steel, and it's incredible.
So we were somewhere and I saw these hippies sitting on the side of the road and at this civic center, and I said to my wife, I go, "What the fuck is there?" I sniffed it out. And I went, "What the fuck is there?" Because I want to be there. And I said, "I don't know who's playing there, but I guarantee you I'm gonna like who's there."
Yeah.
She goes, "No, you won't. It's not what you think it is." And I go, "What is it?" And she goes, "Bob Weir." And I went, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Bobby.
And I was like, can we put a pin in what we're doing right now and go back there? She was like, "Honey, we can't." And I was like, "But I heard it's fucking amazing."
Yeah. How recently was this?
2 weekends ago.
Oh, dude. It's, yeah. I mean, partly because he was dyslexic, but always as a kid, I love Bob Weir. Was such a badass in he's playing to all these hippies, like in the late 80s. He's wearing cut off jean shorts. He put up cut off jean shorts and a Madonna t-shirt and a pink guitar. Like that's so there's all the like crusty deadheads.
Yeah.
And that's how Bobby just does his own thing, man. He's such an original dude.
God.
Yeah, God, I love Bob Weir.
Pull up top 10 Grateful Dead songs, and let's us go through and rank them.
Okay.
It's interesting because I would say I'm a casual Deadhead,
Yeah.
but I listen to it way more than, like, it's one of my go-to. I have three go-tos. It's Wilco, meaning like tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I will go on to, because it's my birthday, I'll go on to Sonos.
Yeah.
And I'll put in some music, and my go-tos are The Dead, Wilco, and Widespread Panic.
Cool.
Those are my three go-tos. Every now and then the Doors, I'll throw in like The Doors, but they don't really deliver the way because
You would love Philco, which was when Phil Lash of the Dead played with Wilco this summer. They played a bunch of shows.
are you serious?
Yeah, so I'm sure there's bootleg recordings on online. So they played some Wilco tunes and some Dead tunes.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I feel like the top 10 Dead songs are I'm going to say this. I hope this doesn't sound disrespectful. Just a tad bit pedestrian for I think they're songs everyone knows. Now I'm sure my wife wouldn't know any of them.
Yeah.
Hit 42 more. What song is that? Okay, Fire on the Mountain. Yeah, like that. See, there's where I start. Saint Stephen.
Yeah.
Broke down. I didn't realize Broke Down Palace was the name of that movie that Claire Danes was in, and it was based on that song.
I didn't know it was based on that song, but that song just, oh my God. It's hard to keep tears in your tear ducts with that tune. Estimated Profit. I mean, I love all these tunes. I know what you mean. Like certain songs, like say Trucking or
like when you go to the top.
Standing on the Moon. Okay, dude. Standing on the Moon.
China Cat Sunflower is one of my favorite songs.
Standing on the Moon is the greatest love song. I'll send you the right version, and just Jerry's soul. You can feel it, and oh my God. Standing on the Moon is an absolute fave.
I love Ripple. I don't mean to just count Ripple. I love Ripple.
No, Ripple's beautiful. I mean, I love
Sugar Magnolia is a beautiful song.
Sugar Magnolia is a beautiful tune. I mean, I love Touch of Grey was their only big hit. And I'm like, you listen to Touch of Grey, you're like, this is such a great tune, man.
Yeah, I love Touch of Grey.
Live they could jam it out a little bit.
I feel like I've earned everything I've ever worked for when I drive in my Mercedes listening to Touch of Grey.
Oh, totally.
I feel like that's the vibe I've been looking for my whole life.
Yeah.
My whole fucking life.
It's such an optimistic tune. In the 80s, they asked Jerry what like modern music he liked. And you'd think he would say like some like crazy band, whatever. He goes, don't worry, be happy. He goes, I really like what that song's saying. He was an optimistic dude, man. He said in this lifetime, he opted for fun, a lifetime of fun.
Man.
But Shakedown Street should be your tune.
Yeah.
I see you busting a move to Shakedown Street.
It's funny. There were like 3 Dead albums that I played on repeat in my truck, and they all remind me of Doak Campbell Stadium at Florida State, because that's where I worked every night. And so that's what I'd listen to, is that we had space in Doak Campbell that we would work out of, but you kind of had the whole stadium to yourself.
Okay.
Because no one was there and we had no music. So I just backed my truck into the stadium and then open the doors and, clean your truck, listen to music, smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
And just wait for the phone to ring. That's all we did was answer phone calls. But, and that's when I turned the corner with the Dead, where I was like, oh, I'm starting to get all of it.
Yeah.
Like I'm starting to play an album from beginning to end and get all of it.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling when you get all of a band.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just they played over 2,000 shows. And that's what, I wouldn't listen to an album, but I would listen to like a live show. So I'd have like my favorite performance of a certain tune. And when I started writing, so I moved to Vancouver. Before I started stand up, I was working for a company that made kids movies. As a dyslexic, I couldn't type. I would write down scenes on legal pads and send them to, there was Air Buddies, Air Bud, the dog that thing.
Yeah.
So he had puppies, and then they brought me in so if you watch the first Air Buddies, there's so many Dead references in that movie because I was just listening to shows, and I have this encyclopedia of all Dead shows, and I would just like put on a show. I'd put on like, a show from 78, and I would go through the encyclopedia, and then Deadheads have read reviews, so they talk about each tune. So it was like my college kind of as I'm writing dialogue for puppies.
So wait, what's the best Dead show you think, in your opinion?
My favorite shows they played, and this would mean something to you. They played I love, and it's because of how I was really high on LSD when I first heard it, and it blew my fucking mind. Was 78 Red Rocks.
Oh.
And the the Eyes of the World solo, Jerry's just fucking, it's wild. But then they had like different eras where they were great. They were great all along. But then in '89, these two shows, and they came out on CD. They're amazing. They're called formerly the Warlocks, and they played these two shows in Virginia Beach in October of '89, and both those shows are like, you get goosebumps the whole time. But yeah, I love this show. And then anything Spring '77 is like kind of their like considered to be their best kind of period.
Really?
Spring '77, yeah.
It's interesting. They're a band that started in the 60s, lasted
65.
lasted through the 70s.
First hit '87. You want to talk about peaking late? That was the first time they started selling records, and then
he died in what,
95. He died in 95, yeah.
It's crazy he was Mexican.
Yeah, he was part Mexican, yeah.
Like, that's insane.
This is the connection I have with my mom. When he died, I phoned my mom, and before I could even say anything, she just said, "I know, dear," because she knew how and I was so fucked up when he passed.
What do you think? What do you think? Why the Dead? Like, I'm trying to think. Is it what do you love them because of where you were at when you were introduced to them, or is it something that they do that like relaxes you?
I think it's like a perfect storm, and I think that it's such a rich. For one, I got to observe them from such a different place, because there's not in Canada. It's not the way like in the States. I'm sure in every single school picture when we were in school, there was a kid with a tie-dyed shirt, and someone's high school quote was, "It's a long, strange trip." Like there was deadheads everywhere. Yeah. And there was deadheads that were frat boys, and there were deadheads that were, like hippies and all this stuff. There was, there was like an on-call that was a deadhead. In Canada, I didn't know that much about them. So I got to just, without kind of all the baggage that they come with. And then just the way they started, they were just a band. And then they got hired to do the acid test. So they were just taking tons of LSD and just figuring it out. The same way a comic would just go up and just dick around. And all of a sudden they became, something. So they started 65, and then there was all these great bands at that time, and they just kept going. Yeah. And people would pass and they kept going. That, and I think Garcia was like, just a really, really like one in a lifetime gifted musician.
I think he really genuinely was. What are the 5 things you're interested in most in life? If you go to my thing, you will see that I Google dogs a lot. I often will Google dogs, and I like surfing, even though I don't really technically surf. I watch videos of surfing a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny the things that I'm interested in. I know you're interested in watches, but what are 3 other things? The Dead, watches.
The things that I would, Grateful Dead, watches.
I love the watch you're wearing now.
Oh, thanks. This is the new Pepsi.
Really?
Yeah, but I wanted to show you, because I know you like new watches. I wanted you to see this and compare it to this. I have a vintage Pepsi, and I wanted you to see the difference between the two. That's a vintage. That's one's from 1970.
Oh,
but
wow.
Do you see how this one is like aged in the patina? This watch is going to look like this when my great grandkids get it. This watch was, brand new at one point, but just the patina on the loom, and
I love all of it. I love the patina on this. It's so great. We were just talking, Kevin Christie?
No.
Oh, you should. He's been texting me this exact watch. They call this the GMT 765?
That's
1675?
Yeah, 1675. This is the Pepsi. This is the one from 1970, and then that's like whatever 2018 or something like that.
That's fucking.
But each one of these looks different. So you just get like when the guy that I buy watches from, when he had this in, he was like, I know Phil wants this watch. Because some of them, maybe the hands won't match the loom, which is fine because the hands were made at a different factory and stuff at the time. But to me, this is just the perfect model.
You know what?
I get lost in it. I can just stare at it forever.
So wait, hold on. So Kevin Christie just texted me.
Is he a comic?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh, I'm so-
he's fucking awesome. Hang on one
I
second.
feel like a dick that I don't.
No. Here.
I'm sure he won't.
So
know
this
me
is
either.
this is what the picture he sent me is Magnum.
Oh,
PI.
heavy, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
He wore the GMT. So I mean, these are both Pepsis.
So this is this is that exact watch you just pulled out. The 1970.
Yeah, 1675. This is the exact same year. Long E. That's my buddy's Craft and Taylor. These are my friends. I went out for dinner with Cam last night.
Really?
Yeah, that's where I buy my watches, Craft and Taylor.
Really?
Yeah.
This is I just think the story on that watch or whatever story I heard was that Pan Am had them made it for their pilots.
And that's why they're red and blue.
Yeah.
And they do it was when when they first started transatlantic flights.
Yeah. And so that's why there's the 12, the 24 things. So, and which I think is that's a great watch for a comic because we're
Perfect.
always on the road.
Yeah.
I have the Submariner, which I love, but I didn't realize I did realize it because I knew it as a kid, but it's set for like, okay, we entered the water here.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I know 15 minutes is probably as long as we need to be underwater.
Yeah.
But this is which is so interesting.
I love sub. I have a vintage sub. Subs are beautiful. And
I have this. I should have brought my other fucking watch out. I really get a kick out of watches.
I don't know what it is. I do not know what it is. They thrill me. Last night, Cam was pulling out he'll pull out like a Paul Newman. He'll pull out a $350,000 Paul Newman, the Rolex Daytona. And I mean, I have photos on my phone of me wearing it. You're just like, I don't know what. They're so beautiful.
The guy who did my latest photo shoot said, I think you'll appreciate this. So I was never really into watches per se, meaning my dad gave me a Rolex, whatever the base model, just the base $1,200
Oyster Perpetual.
Oyster Perpetual. When I was 19 years old, he thought he was going to die. It was his watch. He wanted to give it to me because he thought he was dying. He ended up living. He ended up getting himself another watch, and then he ended up making money for the first time in his life. Like when I first went to college, he was paying bills, and we could afford things, but he wasn't making money. And then when he started making money, he bought a few watches that he really liked. And so the first day I can tell you the day and where I was when I went, watches are pretty fucking cool. My dad had the watch I'm about to show you, and he gave it to me to wear for the day. And we had just had Georgia, and I was a loser comic. I was not doing well as a comic. I was featuring. I was featuring around the country. I was making maybe $700, and I put this watch on, my dad's watch.
Yeah.
And I sat in my car, and I remember looking at my wrist going, I feel good about myself. And I was like, I know that this isn't my watch. I know I haven't earned this watch.
Yeah.
But I feel good about myself. I went, that's crazy that a piece of jewelry like that can really change how you feel about yourself. So then he gave me this watch. When I was 40, I got this watch from him. This is
beautiful.
It's fucking gorgeous.
Dude, this is I have a gold date, and when we met, I was wearing it has a blue face. This is a beautiful watch. And you know what is cool? When I see the sub, I always, like comedy wise, I always associate it with Louis, because Louis always wore on most of his specials, he's wearing a black sub with the date on it, like yours, an older version. That's like he has the metal bezel, not the Serichrome one. And I always associate the gold date with you because you're always wearing it. I was always
wearing the gold.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's so cool to have a watch, have a watch associated with you. Yeah, this is beautiful. That dial is beautiful.
I never knew.
Dang, this isn't nice. Never get it polished. This isn't fucking, pardon my language. That's an amazing condition, man.
Yeah, it's
that's beautiful.
Yeah, I love this fucking watch.
What I love about watches is think of all the adventures that's gone down with that watch on.
The
touring, the running to get a plane,
jumping off a cliff in Tanzania,
everything
where it opened up.
Oh no!
And I had to hold my hand out like that so I didn't lose it.
Oh my god!
This watch. So this was my watch, and then when I started running, I started wearing like fitness watches, and then I kind of got out of wearing watches for a little bit, and fucking Tom got me back into watches, and he was like, and I just recently kind of rediscovered like the fun that it is, not even to buy. Like, you know, Tom went off. You guys won't see it for a while, but maybe you've already seen it. I don't know when this airs. He goes off on a tirade about people because Tom buys watches and people go, and cars. He buys watches and cars, and he spends money. He legit has no problem spending money.
I didn't know he had a big. So he's got like a fair size watch collection.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Oh.
Is it modern stuff or what is he?
That's the watch my dad gave me. Like that.
The two-tone?
Like. No, white face. One was with the gold face. One with my dad ended up buying with the gold face. Yeah, two-tone bracelet. Whatchamacallit.
That's cool.
Jubilee bracelet.
I could see you rocking that for sure, man.
I love that watch.
Yeah, it's badass.
So Tom goes off on a tirade on one of our two bears about fans getting shitty with him because they're like, "Hey man, you make me feel shitty about I don't have any of this stuff that you have. Can you not talk about your cars and your watches?" And then Tom just goes off on a fucking rant. But what's interesting about Tom and that people don't know is I think they think he's been successful his whole fucking career, and he definitely hasn't. What's interesting about Tom and what I find fascinating about myself and you in this is that part of the fun is Googling them and learning about them.
Oh, dude, 100%.
So that if you're ever in the situation where you have money, you know what you want to buy, and you're not just the fucking new kid with money that goes into a Rolex store and is like,
yeah,
what do you have?
It would, like, if I'm going through a breakup or if I'm going through, the thing I love about watches is it's so far removed from comedy, from even, you know, I have specific kind of watch friends, whatever, but it's really just a thing that I get into myself, and I'll just dive deep. Yeah, and I watch, there's so many great videos. I mean, Cam from Craft and Taylor makes great watch videos where he just talks about
Instagram.
Yeah, he's on Instagram.
Wait, maybe I know this guy because I follow a couple watch guys.
He just got a great. I don't understand why he doesn't have more views on YouTube, but he does these great videos. It's tailored, like a suit, but he does these.
We've already Googled him.
He does YouTube videos where he'll go through, like, look at those Paul Newmans. That's beautiful. Come on.
The guy that did
I had the white one on my wrist the other night.
I told you the guy that did my last photo shoot, his dad gave him an original, the Paul Newman.
Whoa! Oh, we got interrupted. Is that what he said?
And he said his dad got it. I think got it in college, maybe, or he got it when he was in college. This guy's my age, so could have made sense that it was his dad's college. It's getting cool outside. And there is nothing better than a real, genuine fire. There's nothing like gathering around at the end of the night with family. The only thing that ruins it is smoke. And then you wake up with a cough and you wake up smelling like you hooked up with Smokey the Bear. I'm telling you, a smokeless fire pit from Solo Stove makes your outdoor moments even more memorable because you don't have to dodge the campfire fumes. You can sit back, relax, and actually enjoy the fire. And during Solo Stove's Black Friday sale, you can get a great deal on Solo Stove Fire Pit. I have one of these. Which one do I have, Halston? I have the Bonfire 2.0. I have two of them. I have one we keep at the beach, one we have here, and it is phenomenal. It sets up, you can start a fire in literally seconds. I'm not even joking. What's more impressive to me is not having the fireside fumes. They're stainless steel construction designed to regulate airflow and burn more efficiently. So little smoke, you're going to wonder how there's a fire. It's the perfect catalyst for getting outside and spending more time with the friends and family, having a cigar, maybe a cocktail, and build those lasting memories around a Solo Stove fire pit. Easy to light. With a few bits of starter, your fire is ablaze in minutes, and they're so confident that you're going to love it. They offer a lifetime warranty and a 30-day free return policy. Let the gifting begin. Shop Solo Stove's Black Friday event for huge site-wide savings and get $10 off with the promo code BERT, plus a lifetime warranty and free 30-day returns. Get an extra $10 off holiday deals at solostove.com and make sure to use the promo code BERT. Phil, this is my wife, Leanne. So Phil is...
Hi, Leanne. How are you?
Phil is... We're talking about watches. Phil's a great comic, but Phil's also massively dyslexic.
I'm writing a book about dyslexia, the positive side of dyslexia.
So many positive sides,
Exactly, but when you're in it and when you're at school, as Bert, no, it feels like hell. But when you get out, there's a great, as like parents of dyslexia, there's a great Malcolm Gladwell has a book called David and Goliath. If you read that chapter about all the dyslexia, yeah, it makes you feel so good, and then you can see those things. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've said to Isla since like first grade, we just gotta get through high school and then you'll be fine.
That's what my mom did for me and said to me and got me through. But that's the big thing, is like getting kids like to maintain their self-esteem and know, because you're told that you're not smart or you're made to feel that way. But then when you get out of school, you realize you're like, oh no, that just wasn't for me. But what is for me is everything else from now on.
That's exactly right. Her intelligence is not applicable in traditional education.
Absolutely. And if it was, it would show that she's smarter than like the average student. 100%. That's part of being dyslexic. But
You should have been on. You should have been in on this podcast.
I have so much to say about dyslexia. I can't. I have it's a little bit of a soapbox for me because
Can you stand over here just so people can see you and can hear you a little
sit
bit?
in your lap? Is that
Please,
what
please.
So, I thought something was up when she was 4. And then her first grade teacher, finally, I'd asked a bunch of people, principal, everybody, and they're
Yeah.
like, no, it happens late for a lot of kids. She'll read late. And I was like, it's not what's happening. She doesn't know her ABCs, but her language is so sophisticated. Something's not working.
yeah,
Right?
Yes.
Because the language was like really good.
Yeah. That was
Vocabulary.
the same thing with me, and they would try to fail me every year,
Mhm.
and my mom would go in and go like, "No, he's a smart kid.
Mhm.
We're trying to pinpoint." And obviously, I'm a lot older than your daughter, and so back then they didn't know anything. It wasn't even. It took them years to diagnose me as dyslexic.
Mm.
Whereas I could, if you just told me that, if you said I have a 4-year-old that's very sociable, very articulate, is struggling to read, I'm like, oh, she's dyslexic.
Totally.
100%.
Well, you know what happened for us, which I think is actually criminal, in my opinion, is her first grade teacher was like, we need to have her tested. We have her tested. And the psychologist that works for the school, works for the district, said to me, I can't really say this, but she's dyslexic. But I can't diagnose her as that because we don't recognize, our state of California does not recognize dyslexia as a learning disability. So I have to find something else to diagnose her with so that she can get services, so she can get more time on tests. So this was, okay, my daughter is 16.
That's insane.
So you know how the state of California finally just recognized it when my daughter was in middle school, because an 8-year-old boy lobbied in Sacramento for 2 years and spoke to the legislature in Sacramento and got them to just recognize it. We're so far behind as a state for dyslexia remediation that no one in the school district knows how to remediate it because it was never recognized. It makes me so angry.
Oh my God. Yeah, because it's child abuse.
100%.
It's child abuse. That's why it's triggering, because it's child abuse.
It's the same as is that she's being denied an education because you go to the state of Georgia, they recognize dyslexia first, second grade, as soon as it pops up, and remediate it immediately.
Yeah. Well,
immediately.
Because
Sorry. Wasn't expecting to be on the podcast. Sorry.
This is her fucking.
But how can you be so your job is to educate children, but if you don't recognize the disability, what effect is that going to have on them? It's going to have a terrible effect. I was talking to Bert about the percentage of inmates in prison that have learning differences.
Yes.
It's because you're told you're dumb.
That's
and
right.
then you finish school.
Yep.
And you have said you are a little grumpy because you've been abused for 6 hours.
Yes.
You're going to steal something. You're going to get in a fight. You're going to vandalize something or whatever. And then it begins. It's
proven. It's proven.
It's 100% proven.
If they're not diagnosed by middle school, a lot of kids end up on the wrong side of right
the statistics,
by the time they graduate, or they don't even graduate.
I said it was 7 of 10 inmates, and I think I remember that's what I heard. It's so high,
It is.
and it makes so much sense to me. I work with Eye to Eye. Have you ever heard of Eye to Eye?
No.
And they're an organization. They're actually based in California, and they advocate for kids with learning differences.
Mhm.
And the big thing, David, who's the president of it, who's this amazing guy who was nominated for a CNN Heroes Award. It's not about like, people are like, well, can you teach my dyslexic kid to read? It's like, No, it's not about teaching them to read. It's about maintaining self-esteem.
Yes,
So
that's it.
they don't have this baggage from high school for the rest of their life.
That's
it's,
right.
It's 17 years, or for me, I was 23 when I graduated high school. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no.
The best
Same
joke
as
he
his
had,
college.
the best joke he had, he goes, I'm writing a book about dyslexia, or at least I think that's what it's about.
That's funny. Well, I had Isla had two of her teachers in elementary school. Two teachers both said to me, I just don't know what you're going to do. I mean, and I thought, if you're
Yeah.
saying that to me, what message are you giving my kid in your classroom?
Yeah, when you're not there.
Exactly. It's so bad. And this is today. Like
that's
when
crazy.
we were kids.
Yes.
Okay, we didn't know enough.
Yeah.
This is today.
Yeah.
This is now. It should not be that way.
No.
I have to say, her high school is doing a great job in that they don't know how to remediate anything. She's way past, quote, remediation because of her age, according to the standards in California. But they give her oral tests instead
Yeah.
of written tests. They give her oral book reports. And it's she's making hundreds on stuff where she comes home and goes, I made 100 on my psychology test. And they ask her to take a written test first. And if she doesn't do well, they'll have her take it over orally.
Yeah.
And she always makes 100.
See, and I think that should happen once. And once she proves that she needs it orally,
agree.
she shouldn't be
It should
put
be over.
through it. Yeah,
Agreed.
that's that. Because
Agreed.
when I went through school, they put me in general
Same.
everything.
Same. She's bored out of her fucking mind.
I would misspell my name on the top of the test. I put FIL, flip it over, and be like, to hell with you people.
Yeah.
It's been 12 years of this.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
And then in the final year, some weird thing happened. The school got extra money, and I got a one-on-one teacher. So I'd go to a subject, and then I'd have Mr. Armstrong would sit with me, and I got like back then it was a percentage, but I got like in the 80s. I went from getting like 30%. Like they would be like, we didn't know report cards could go this low. 20%. They would write 20%. You got 20% in history. But of course, they would go like, okay, read this about John A. Macdonald, who was the first prime minister in Canada, and then answer the questions. I'm like, well, I stared at that for 25 minutes, which was quite monotonous. And then I stared at these questions. I can't take this and put it there.
No, it's
but
the
if you
same,
read
yeah.
it to me, I'd get 100%.
Got it. 100.
Yeah.
Yes,
But
she's the
then
same.
they'd be perplexed.
Yes.
I'm like, it's so obvious,
It
man.
is the function of reading. That's it.
That's it.
It is the function of reading.
That's it.
Nothing else.
No.
She should be in honors or AP classes
Yes.
intellectually.
Yeah.
But she cannot handle the workload and she cannot handle the testing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the educational system's fault
100%.
because they should be able to give her the testing and the workload that stimulates her thinking and her brain
Yeah.
and give her ways to prove what she knows that have nothing to do with, I'm going to write an essay that's
It's-
5
it's-
paragraphs.
Your job is to educate someone.
Yes.
It's the same as if a chef's job is to feed someone. If they're like, yeah, I can't eat peanuts. And the chef's like, the recipe says peanuts. I have to put peanuts. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane.
And how many essays have you written since high school?
That's a great question. No,
None. You've written none. I'm giving the answer is none. You've written none.
Anything.
None.
But-
So every subject, an essay about Benjamin Franklin. I'm like, fucking, she just tell you a story?
Yes. It's,
Why not?
but the thing that's so heartbreaking is that I got lucky because of my mom felt the same way that you guys feel about it, but some parents don't.
Agreed.
And then it's mission impossible for the kid to succeed, even though they're that smart.
It's heartbreaking.
It's
It's heartbreaking because parents, I was known as the squeaky wheel at our elementary school where dyslexia was concerned. And as kids came up younger than her, parents would reach out to me and we were not on the same wavelength. There were so many parents who were like, well, what if we get a tutor? And I'm like, go ahead. It's not going to help.
no.
It's not her.
No.
It's not her.
No.
She's fine.
Yes, it's them.
It's the system is broken. It's
Yes.
a systemic problem.
Yeah.
So tutor it all day long.
Yeah.
But that's not going to fix the problem. I'm telling you, just got to get them out of high school.
Yeah.
Once you get them out of high school, they'll find what they love and they'll be better than anybody
Because
else.
they're a
at
coiled
that.
spring because
Yes.
they haven't been able to excel.
Yes.
And then, yeah, I mean,
And they're more intelligent in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
They have a 5% bigger brain than most
Yeah.
people. And they are into what they're into. But most dyslexic kids are into what they're into.
We just talked about the Grateful Dead for an hour, but yeah, that's because
You're
now we're
into
talking- and now
what
we're
you're
talking about
into.
watches.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
Watch
you're-
his comedy, The Grateful Dead.
and hats and shoes
yeah,
and tracksuits.
and watches.
Yep. Anyway, well, I'm glad you persevered and became a hugely successful person. That's amazing.
Well, I thank you. I'm so
You gotta watch his new special, Ooh La La. He has jokes about dyslexia.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Maybe
It's on YouTube. He released it 2 weeks ago.
Maybe Isla and I can Isla watch it? Is it appropriate?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think.
Yeah.
Uh,
She watched Nikki Glazer talking about the head of her boyfriend's cock. She'll be fine.
Oh, because we have a similar bit about that. Yeah, no, there's a story where I thought I had. There's a story near the end that's like it's not super graphic, but I thought I might have STI. I
What's
didn't.
STI?
I'm fine. Sexually transmitted infection. I
What-
didn't.
I thought they were called STDs. Are they not?
STD. They were. Now they're called STIs.
Oh.
Everybody's got to have a new
I think-
label. Every
I think-
generation.
I
Turn
think
to
they
D
changed
to
it, but yeah, I thought I
We
did.
just called it the clap.
I didn't, but I didn't have anything. It was a misunderstanding. But I don't
Oh
know
my
if that's
God.
appropriate.
Has Isla told you? Has Isla told you about the armpit crabs that are going around? You should ask her.
What happened?
I guess armpit crabs are going around,
Whoa,
right?
I don't
People
know.
aren't having sex; they're sticking things in armpits, and people are getting crabs in their armpit hair.
Really?
Yeah, that's according to our dyslexic daughter. So I don't
Who,
know.
by the way, said the other day, tell me if I can share this. She goes, I think I'm just going to start an OnlyFans page to Leanne. And Leanne goes, for what? She goes, my feet. Leanne goes, Isla, you know what they'll do to those pictures? She goes, Mom, after they've paid me, that's not my concern.
She also were driving home last night. I could not stop laughing at this. She goes, so it's really interesting. We watched Moana in class, in religion class for Halloween, and he was relating it to John's Ark. And I went, whose Ark? She goes, John's. You know, John's Ark, where they put all the animals on the Ark. And I went, whose Ark? She was like, John's Ark, Mom. Everybody knows about John's Ark. I went, do you mean Noah? And she went, oh yeah, Noah. Oh yeah, I get that confused all the time. I'm like, how are you 16 and you think it's John's Ark?
I get.
You're so brilliant.
I can relate to that 100. Yeah, yeah, I can. Yeah, 100%.
You know, John's Ark. I was like, oh, okay.
She's got jujitsu lessons. She's been wanting to take jujitsu. And you know Eddie Bravo?
No.
Eddie Bravo is one of Joe's best friends. But he came over to do Joe Rogan, and he came over to do an episode of Something's Burning, my cooking show. And so we go inside, and I said, oh, Isla, he's the only American to ever tap out at Gracie, right?
Whoa.
He's like a badass. He's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world, actually. And he taught Joe jiu-jitsu. And so I said, Eddie said, jiu-jitsu, and he can get you. And he goes, why don't I get you private lessons? That's who's coming over. That's what I thought was happening.
Oh.
Her private coach is coming over to give her private lessons. And then she wakes up the first morning. She goes, I got to tell you, Mom, I'm really excited for a little hi-ya. And Leanne goes, that's not jujitsu. She goes, oh. And just walks out.
She did it this morning. I said, you have jujitsu tonight. She went, hi-ya. And I went, again, that's not jujitsu.
She
It's
sounds
grappling.
really. She sounds very funny.
She is the
She's
funniest. She
amazing.
is the funniest
Amazing.
fucking human. Our whole Leanne would, but when she was younger, what happened is, and I think what happened is I talked about her so much on stage that she would become famous in her school, and she didn't ask for that. And so people would like approach her and be like, yo, you're Isla from Netflix. And she'd be like, ugh. So she started keeping her weirdness to herself for a period of time. But there was a period where Leanne would call and she'd be like, you're never going to believe what your daughter did. I go, what? She goes, she's keeping her deodorant in the refrigerator. And I said, why? She goes, name on the cap and on the base. She rubs it under her nose so that she doesn't have to worry about, because no one's putting deodorant on at school. So she puts it under her nose so that she's taking care of everyone else.
I mean, brilliant.
That's brilliant. That is
Yeah.
brilliant.
brilliant. She's an outside the box thinker, 100%.
That's brilliant. And
It's brilliant.
speaking of John's Ark, Bert told me about your daughter, and then Isla, and then I proceeded to call her Delilah for the first half
Oh
of
my
the
God,
podcast.
that's hysterical. Yeah.
So it's
Same-
So I
similar
have
brain.
I have a John's
That's
arc too.
awesome. Well, thanks for talking about that.
Oh, it's
Thanks for putting it out in the
it's
world.
my favorite. It's the topic that I get most fired up about.
Yep.
And yeah, you'll get one of the first copies of, because the book is dedicated. The book
Please.
will be dedicated to my mom, and is like, it's moms and parents of dyslexics that it's have to just maintain that and get them through high school. And then once they're done high school, it's going to be, for one, you develop just, I can't stand doing something that I don't like to do,
Yeah.
because I did it for so long.
Yeah.
So that's becoming a comic, because I was like, no, I need to have a job that I love to do, something that I'm excited to do. And I think that that's really common among dyslexics.
Would make sense.
Yes, because you're like, yeah,
Totally.
no, I've
You're
been,
just suffering. through
yeah,
it
yeah,
every day.
Yes.
I hate it. I loved school. I loved learning. I read early. I loved to read. I actually I'm a doer. So I'd go home and be like, I'm going to get in a snack and do my homework. And I'd be done, have the whole day to myself. So I have this kid that is so foreign to me, because our older daughter's similar to that.
I'm gonna make a snack. I'm gonna do my homework.
Yep.
Like, I mean, she's a nerd.
She's gonna. I was sort of a nerd, but not really. But my heart just broke for her
yeah,
because I knew school was easy for me,
yeah.
but I didn't know how easy it was
Yeah.
until I had her. And then it just broke my heart. Every day she'd come home and I'd be like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, the pandemic, I taught her 8th grade because they would be
That
like,
was fucking. You
that was not
you
super
thought
fun, but
Coolio would be singing in the
It's-
background
it
It's
was bad. It was,
as I walk through the valley of the dark.
she did not, American history was like, read 30 pages in your textbook and answer 11 questions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that would take her 6 hours
oh,
to read 30 pages.
yeah. I didn't
So-
even know if I could do, like,
I read all her history book to her. 'cause
I walked in on her on taking online classes one time, and I peeked my head in the room silently, and I see her with her mouth like this. She goes, "Alexa, when did Hitler die?"
She did. It's the workaround, baby. It's all about the workaround, right?
you figure it out, but it's when I think back of my like childhood, like in school, it's like a Dickens novel. Like I picture it black and white. I was telling Bert, my teacher would just put my desk at the back of the room facing the wall, just because I wouldn't be in the way. Like legally, I guess she had to keep me indoors. I don't know what it was, but it was like, I'm sure if she could have just let me free, I'm sure she would have been happy to do that. It's brutal, but how many more years of high school?
She's a junior.
Junior.
So it's just this year, next year. She's actually,
Oh,
she got
okay.
some good teachers this year who get it,
That's
who are letting her take a lot of oral tests, and they really seem to get it.
That's
so
great.
she's A's and B's,
amazing.
because she's supported.
Yeah.
And hopefully she'll go to college and get her HPD or PhD.
Something like that. HPV.
HPV. All right, get out of here. We got to talk
I know.
about this.
God bless your mom.
Oh yeah, I'll
Yeah.
pass that on.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to meet you.
You too. Nice to meet you.
All right. Here's what I want. You know more than I do. Here's what I want. For anyone listening, walk me through, pull up the Rolex thing, because what are the differences in your opinion of the different Rolexes?
Okay.
So like
You probably don't want. You want to
go
go
to Rolex. Go to Rolex.
You go to the Rolex website.
So your buddy deals with like a lot of
Vintage stuff. I mean,
stuff.
and they're beautiful, and
So
each model is different.
Explain the beauty of a vintage Rolex.
Okay.
And the complications. I remember I think you told me, I was like, oh, I'm going to Italy, and you're like, be careful about the off-market stuff.
Yeah, because they certain places have reputations for putting in.
Did you see Leanne's watch?
No, I missed it.
Leanne,
I think your sleeves were down.
come here. I got Leanne this for her 50th birthday. Here, let me see your watch. Yeah. fuck.
Roland, sorry.
All right, get out of here. Get out of here. Jesus Christ. All right, so wait, so I think the Air King is so you were saying they use like off-market
Yeah,
brands?
some places could use like off-market parts or whatever. But if you have a relationship with a vintage watch dealer and someone that you can trust, they go through and they're like, yeah, this is a factory balance, or they'll look at a watch. I mean, I can look at a watch and be like, okay, so at some point this one is all original. The hands are original. Everything, the bezel, you can like flip it over. You can tell if it was like this came off the Rolex factory floor in 1970, just like this. But you can sometimes see that they'll put, if you send a Rolex in to repair, they'll polish it, which devalues it. They'll maybe replace the hands. I have a vintage Explorer where they replaced the hands, and I sent it back. I was like, no, I want my hands, the original hands back. Because you want it all original, you know?
Yeah.
So
For the average person,
yeah,
if they are, I'm saying like someone's listening, they're making some pretty good money and they have a big, this is the way I look at Rolexes is if I have a big event happen in my life,
yeah,
I like to celebrate
that's
it.
what I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
a special or a birthday or a movie or like a TV show. I
Yeah.
try to get something, but I also, I don't have super fancy taste. So like this was a lot of money for me in my opinion.
Oh, it's a lot of dough. And that's incredible. So like for me right now in the vintage market, like new Rolexes are just hard to get because there's wait lists and you need to know an authorized dealer and all this stuff. But for me, if I was to suggest like a first Rolex, if you had the money, they're about like say $12,000 to $15,000. They're expensive, but the vintage, like a vintage sub, say from like the 80s, are gonna have like the beautiful patina.
Yeah.
And that I think they're undervalued in the vintage market because and they're available. Yeah. So I have a very similar watch to that. Like to me, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So that the patina, how it's aged, it's yellow.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's really pretty.
Yeah.
And I think what's also cool about something like that is that people that know.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. It's like I don't know enough about but if you're around Russell Peters, he'll notice it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And vintage, like there was a big thing online because Drake just bought a Paul Newman and it was a huge thing. And I'm like, oh my God, that's going to kill the market if people start, if ever, you know what I mean? If rappers start wearing vintage Rolexes, because then the price is going to skyrocket. But for me, I mean, I love new pieces. I really want to get the Cerachrome Daytona.
So wait, go back to the Rolex place, the Rolex store. So so what is technically the difference between a Yachtmaster and a Submariner?
Okay.
What is the purpose of it?
I see the Yachtmaster would be, I mean, they do a gold sub, but for me, the Yachtmaster is a newer model and it wouldn't be, for me, I love like their traditional, like I love the GMT.
Yeah, I love the GMT.
Especially for a comic. Like I always have I'm super close to my nephew. I always have the one time zone where he is, just so I know where he is. And I know you feel like connected to someone.
The GMT is just a beautiful watch. And I love the story of, I love the Pan Am part of it.
So cool.
I just think it's so cool.
And then to me, this is I love this model right here, the no date sub. So that's like your sub, but with no date. Like it's just, the symmetry is just beautiful.
Oh, no date sub. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's such a subtle change. So that, I mean, one of the next watches that I want to get is the 5513. So that's the vintage no date sub. So
vintage no date sub. Interesting.
But if you go to I mean, those are but then you can get like, if you're just like, you want to get like a first off, there's also tons of cool brands that aren't as expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
so hold on. I want to focus on Rolex because I have a thing for Rolex.
Me too.
Like I just have a thing for Rolex. But if you were going to list 5 brands, like I know Rogan loves is Omega.
Yeah.
Loves Omega.
See, for me, I just love the designs and I love the history of Rolex.
Me too.
And I love the modern ones. I love the vintage ones, and I love the stories, and I love to see how they evolve. Like to me, it's fascinating to be like 1970s and then 2018. Like to see how because what Rolex is doing is all they're trying to do is make a better product and a product that lasts longer. So this steel bezel is going to get scraped up. It's going to get bashed up. So this is Cerachrome. You can't scrape that. You can't smash it. And it took so long for them to be able to make it This is like one piece. So they have to make, I heard they make like out of 100, only 70 of them survive because it's like perfect. It's one piece, but the color, like the line is perfect where the red goes to blue.
Yeah.
And then that is acrylic crystal. So that's going to get scraped and stuff like that. You can polish it out. This is sapphire crystal. So that's like, you can't scratch it. You know, like you bang your watch off the door hinge, you'd be like, I didn't even want to look to see what happened.
Yeah.
And you look and it's like brand new. It's perfect because
Yeah.
we have the newer watches have the sapphire crystal.
Wow,
you know?
that's fucking great. So then the Submariner, if you had to rank them right now, if you had to go like everyone says the watch to get is the steel
The steel white face
Daytona.
They call it the Panda dial. So if you just go to Daytona, if you scroll over a little bit, you're going to get to Daytona on the site right there. So click on that. See, that's Meteorite. Yeah, that's the watch that everyone's talking about. If you scroll up, oh, okay. So go see, these are all the precious metal ones. But if you, I guess, go over, you'll get to the oh, it keeps changing. Just go
I
over.
think that's a beautiful watch.
Yeah, the rose gold.
I
So
think-
right there, look, okay, so those are, if you go back one. I'm so sorry. There. See, that's meteorite. The dial is made out of a meteor. So that dial circled the globe for I don't know how long a meteor circled the globe. Yeah. And they have that's meteorite. They have a GMT with it looks like a white
That's
face.
Meteorite?
Yes. That
Holy
circled the
shit.
globe. If you go GMT, you can really see it. But yeah, everyone wants that's only going to be on a precious metal. So it's going to be on white gold or yellow gold.
Holy shit.
But isn't that wild?
That's very wild.
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's what are the 3 dials for?
That's it's like a racing watch to time the different, like 1 times an hour, 1 times yeah, that's the one that everyone wants. So you unscrew the pushers and then you work the
Oh, really?
yeah, the chronometer. See right there. Here, pause right there. That's the watch that, and dude, I have a friend who is a Rolex dealer, and I've been waiting. I waited 3 years for this one,
Yeah.
and then I've been waiting years to try to get that at
That's a
retail
beautiful watch.
because you can buy them off market, but it's so costly.
I got offered to buy a Sky Dweller.
Yeah,
Uh
Bobby
Sti-
Kelly has a Sky
Yeah.
Dweller.
and I chose not to because it didn't fit me. It wasn't right.
It's so Bobby Kelly because
Yeah.
it's the most that's the most complex complication that Rolex has ever made.
Really.
And just because Bobby likes stuff and
yeah,
to tinker
he
around.
loves stuff.
So but yeah, that steel Daytona to me is just so beautiful.
Yeah, it's now. What if I go to? Is there a place in Europe? So I'm doing a European tour.
Yeah.
Is there a place I want to go to this Rolex factory in Europe?
Yeah, in Switzerland, I'm sure you can go on a tour. But you could go in if you went into an AD, if we got into your car and went to an AD, you're gonna walk in and they're gonna recognize you and they're gonna give you you're gonna be able to get whatever you want.
Really?
Absolutely. There'll
No.
be fans. Yes.
No.
Yes.
I know Tom does that. I know Chappelle does that.
Yeah.
I know Rogan does that.
Yeah. I heard a story where Chappelle did that. They were in Vegas and Chappelle went into again, this is like secondhand or whatever, but I heard, and they just have Daytonas for if the right person walks in. I guarantee we went to Rolex.
I know the place Chappelle. I bought this at the place Chappelle bought his.
Oh, really?
and the reason I got this was because I knew Rogan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Rogan could get you. I'm sure.
Yeah.
If you walked in, they're going to be a fan, and they're going to all of a sudden mysteriously have one in the safe.
Well, the lady. So I'm always hesitant to say her name because I know that she would just get then hounded by people.
Mm-hmm.
But she knows. She's hit me up. I talked nicely about her on a podcast. She's a really cool person. The whole interaction was so fucking zen. Like, I mean, literally, I walked in and she was like, "What are you here for?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing a show at the Virgin." She was like, "Oh, do you know Dave?" And I was like, "Attell?" She was like, "Chappelle." And I said, "Oh, no, yeah, but not really." And I go, my buddy's really good friends with him. She's like, "Who's your buddy?" And I was like, "Joe." She was like, "Okay, I know. Yeah, I know them." She was like, "Get him the blah, blah, blah." And so I was like, what? She goes, I got your watch. It's coming out. And I was like, oh, I'd like to see a few. And she goes, no, I've got it. And she brought this out and she goes, this is your watch.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want it. And she goes, no, you want it. This is your watch. And I was like, well, I'm not sure. I don't know. And I texted Tom. I texted my dad. I texted my wife. Everyone said I should do it. And then Tom sent me I've told the story again before, but Tom sent me a very lengthy text about why I deserved to buy the watch for myself.
Yeah.
So I went back, I bought it. But everything about it, the way she said, this is your watch. I went, yeah. And then I've emailed her since and texted her and said, like, every time I get into a moment, 'cause it's really fun when you have something you like and you catch it and you go, God, I love this watch.
Yeah.
And I'll text her and say, just, hey, thanks again for this watch.
I do that. I do that with my friend all the time.
Yeah.
I'll just send him a photo because it's like, yeah, because it's with you,
Yeah.
and you go through so much, and you always
I haven't put
have
this
your
one
watch.
on forever.
Dude, the stories you could tell, like if you look at that and you're like, what are the stories? It was on your wrist for so much stuff.
Oh,
And they're so beautiful to look at.
so I love this watch.
That's beautiful.
The best story is, so Tom says, I'm going to Vegas. Can you hook me up with your Rolex person? I said, yeah. They all but had to kick him out of the store. They had to tell him, you have to stop buying watches. He wanted to buy everything, like everything.
Were they bringing everything out for him?
Well, I think they brought out enough that he wanted all of it,
Yeah.
and they had to say no. And then he went over to their Patek Philippe
Oh yeah.
section and was
oh
like,
my God, dude, that story.
show me what you got here. And then they were like, hold on, we can't sell all of our watches to you.
Yeah, or I mean, Pateks. There are Pateks that they're just impossible to get.
I don't really get Patek Philippe. It's not like my watch.
I had my buddy had one, and it was a $500,000 watch. It had a moon phase on it.
I saw this watch, and it's so fucking cool.
Yeah, like
it is so fucking cool.
Patek Grand Complication. It is the moon phase, and tell me this isn't wizardry. The moon phase is correct for 120 years.
I saw
So
this.
it's like a quarter moon. You look up, it's a quarter moon.
Is it?
It's hard to see.
Is it the?
Well, there's the world time, so that has all the different times and all the different.
These
countries.
these are just.
That black one has. I don't love the baguettes, but so yeah, right, the black right there with the. I don't love the diamonds, but that will have a moon phase on it.
Oh yeah, right there.
Yeah, so that's correct, dude. For 120 years,
That's
so,
a pretty. That's actually.
dude. You would no shirt on
Fucking-
stage
With
rocking
a
that,
$500,000 watch,
dude.
This is
I say pull the trigger.
what's the most you'd spend on a watch?
I mean, it depends. Like, I mean, my collection. I mean, I'm not playing Red Rocks. You know what I mean? I'm playing clubs. So I'm already like, see that. Look how beautiful that is. Look how 70s are beautiful. Go to the 5711, the blue dial. It's square steel. Go down. I'm sorry. Right, one
So
over.
left, other way.
Other way,
That's the one.
dude.
That's the.
Oh, come on.
That's
That-
a beautiful fucking.
So could you
watch.
imagine just rocking that? You get to look at that.
$122,000.
Dude, the steel that's like I forget exactly how much. You just can't get them retail, but retail, is that the new white gold one? The retail there would be like, 30 or 40 or something. That's stainless steel. That's like the hardest watch to get. Like that is so hard to get. So it would be like, I think like close to 40,000 brand new, but the markup is like three times.
What do you
Those
think
are
about
just-
Jacob and Co's?
That's like, to me, I don't know a ton about him just because it's so not my style, but I feel like it would be, and I could be wrong, but it seems like a lot of like more flash than smash. Is that the phrase?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I could look at Patek Philippe's, but I don't know if I'd ever be able to. I mean, I don't know if I don't think I can afford one now. I think it would be a ridiculous purchase.
I mean, I have made ridiculous purchases, but I I don't know. The one thing that when I first, so I had a vintage Explorer, which is Rolex, very low key. It was from the 60s. It's, I think, beautiful. The Explorer was the first watch that made it to the top of Mount Everest. There's a great history.
They just talked about
that right there. Yeah, that is a vintage Explorer right there.
Where is it?
Up. It's like one. It's a very top, and that right there. Yeah. So that's my watch. So that was my first watch, and so low key, right?
Yeah.
So low key, beautiful. The designs, I love it. And then I bought a modern watch. I bought the Batman, so the blue and black GMT.
Yeah.
And I bought it. I was so stoked. I remember I did Bobby Kelly's podcast. It was shipped to my parents' place in Vancouver, and I had to take a flight, a 6-hour flight. I was just like, oh my God. I got in there 1 a.m, ripped open the box, a beautiful hinge green. I was losing my mind. I was so stoked. Could not afford it. Did a movie. I did a movie. It shot it in Colombia like maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And I spent all the money I made on the movie on this watch. Every cent went to this watch. And I was so stoked, but I put it on. I'm like, I cannot wear this on stage. This is too flashy. It's not my style. I wore that watch for 2 years before a single comic noticed it.
Really?
Yeah, that's another thing. People just don't. I think watch culture now is people are becoming a little more aware, but no one ever. And I kind of like that too. It's like, if you know about watches, you're going to be like, oh, cool. That's a cool Pepsi. That's a great sub. But
I was with my agents, and we were having lunch, and we were going around talking about watches, and it was pretty fucking fun to have the conversation. It's a fun conversation.
I love it.
And by the way, and I mean, I say this only because I know there's people that are probably feeling that this isn't an accessible conversation, but it is if it's something you want.
Yeah.
Like it can be something you save for. You just put some money aside. Trust me when I say I do make a lot of money, but I don't have the mindset where I can just go in and buy stuff crazy.
Yeah.
That's just not who I am. So, but I can save up in my head and go, I can afford a little something.
Yeah.
And so, and that's all but it's fun. What the funnest part actually isn't buying it. For me, the funnest part's researching it.
Yeah.
And
Learning about it,
and
learning the
going
history.
reading about the GMT. So I was like, I don't really know anything about anything with watches. Like,
Yeah.
I know that I like this Submariner, but I was like, which one do I want next? I know everyone wants the Panda.
Yeah.
But I go, what do I want? And then I saw this Pan Am shit. Magnum
Dude,
PI had it on his wrist.
Try this on. I mean, the new GMT, to me, I love it because it's a design that looks
try
really
mine on.
timeless. But no, I mean, I've never made a crazy
No, I don't think it's getting over my wrist.
that suits you though.
This is a good looking watch. This is
beautiful, dude.
yeah, I love. That's a good look. That does suit me, and I think there's a sportiness to that watch.
Yeah, it's super sporty.
where you can and I think it's because I saw it on Magnum PI's wrist.
Yeah. Oh,
That was
yeah.
what he wore.
Yeah. I mean, I think Dizzy Gillespie wore a GMT.
Really?
Who else? The president of Cuba.
Fidel Castro?
Yeah,
Type in Fidel Castro.
GMT.
That would be a
absolutely.
badass
He wore a GMT.
I'm sure you'd get in some sort of trouble for buying Fidel Castro's watch, but
It's out there somewhere.
it's somewhere.
See?
Oh, look at that.
That's the old one with the Bakelite bezel. So that was like the bezel. They were really fragile. It's like almost like a resin or a plastic.
Whoa. Type in wonder what kind of watch Nikita Khrushchev wore. Like that, what do you think Kennedy wore?
Well, that traditionally they wear they call it the president because of the
presidential.
the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of presidents, I think RFK or Rolex. If you do, let's see what looks like a Cartier. Oh, look, there he is. That's your dude. That's a version of your watch
On JFK.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I save up and I try to buy a watch before it, like this watch I bought when it was worth a lot less money because I was like, oh, these are going to go up. So that's
Yeah.
why I buy vintage, because there's so limited of them. You know what I mean? Like they can't make anymore.
And what do they got? They have the Pepsi, the Batman, the root beer. Not root
For
beer.
GMTs, they got the
Hulk?
Pepsi. The Hulk is a sub. Hulk is the all green sub, and then now they have your sub with a green bezel, which people call it like some people call it like the Starbucks. So that's the new GMT.
Starbucks. That's a good one.
That's the new.
That's a good one. Oh shit.
That's the new GMT is black and green. That's the one that came out this year. So there's the Batman they do it on the Oyster bracelet. They do it on the Jubilee.
Is that root beer?
That's the root beer. That's the two-tone. So that's the gold, rose gold, and steel. That's the two-tone. They also do a really badass all rose gold. If just under that is the all rose gold one. That's pretty
gorgeous.
badass looking, right?
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, with the brown and black bezel.
My cameraman, John Mans, wants to buy a Rolex because he knows they're going up in value.
Yeah.
But
well, the market crashed a little bit. Like it went crazy.
I heard
Bitcoin,
crypto guys.
Yes, because dude, I would be on stage and I'd come off stage and someone would be like, "Oh, nice watch," and I'd look down and it would be like a 23-year-old with the brand new Serichrome Panda Daytona, and I'd be like, "How did you get that?" And they'd be like, "Oh, I just bought it. It was like $45,000, whatever," because they had the dough and they were just buying. So when crypto went down, the for gray mark after value of modern Rolexes went down.
God, I could do this all day. When are you going to be in Austin?
I don't no time in particular. Oh, you know what? I think I'm supposed to do someone's podcast out there. So fairly soon. I think I'm going to do Tom's.
Oh,
I'll bring my watch route.
Dude. Let me know when you're down there, because I might come down there and do an episode of Two Bearers, and then we should go watch shopping.
Oh, that'd be great.
And just watch Tom spend money on watches.
When people
we'll
buy,
get Rogan too. Well, the four of us will all go out.
When people buy watches, it makes me so excited because I just know the feeling that I feel.
Dude, I appreciate you doing this podcast, man.
Dude, I was so excited.
Oh, I've been a fan of yours for a while, and especially like when we started talking about watches, I was like, oh fuck. I was like, I got to get him on the podcast. I could talk to you about watches forever, but more importantly, this dyslexic shit is fucking fascinating because it's what we're going through.
Yeah.
I wish I'd had Leanne on the podcast earlier. She would have been fucking going bananas.
It made me feel so good to hear how passionate she was about it, because that's what breaks my heart. Even when I see like kids leaving school, I'm like, oh God, like some of those kids are dyslexic, and not everyone's as lucky to have parents like you guys, and they don't. It's so important to have the support at home.
Well, hopefully we can introduce you to Isla on the way out. I think her jujitsu's starting any second.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool.
But
dude,
I appreciate you doing this,
thank you so much for having me. Let me plug my special.
Yeah,
and
it's Ooh La La. It's on YouTube right now.
On my YouTube channel, Ooh La La. Yeah, I talk a lot about dyslexia on it.
I can't wait. I'm going to play it for Isla. I love this. I love this. Now I'm texting with Tom about watches.
Right on.
Dude, it's the best. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.